Hey guys, what's going on? This is Colin's Process. Thanks for tuning in. This week, I'm talking with an old friend. His name is Daniel Farb. And Daniel again was a rapper. And he is a rapper, even still. He's still releasing music. I think he just released a music video, not that long ago. He goes by the name of MC Foob. That's MC with an F and then a U with those two dots. You know, the U with two dots on top. BB. MC Foob. So you can find his music under that title. And he's always been a rapper. But like so many of us in our high school, because we went to high school together, he succumbed to a bunch of different things. Where we're from, drinking and smoking is just like a pastime. I know it's like a lot. It's like that for a lot of places, but like with ours especially, it's like that's just what you do, you know. And some people are fine doing it and getting out of it, and some people, like myself, like him, go deeper and darker, and that's what he did. And from that came this big streak of silver lining, because he ended up going into I believe it's psychiatric work, where he actually helps people who are in these situations now. So absolutely incredible. And I figured we just have a conversation. I felt really bad because a long time ago, I don't want to go into it too much, but I owed him money, and I had to give him the money. He wouldn't even take it, so I just took him out for dinner afterwards. After this podcast, it was really good. We went to like a Backyard Burger or some place over on Desera something. But yeah, it was I say over on Desera like as if there's not people in Australia who hear this. Sorry, it's a place near where we were shooting. But yeah, it was a great conversation, and it got really deep. And he's a really good guy. And I talked about it last week. This is another thing that I have to bring up. I had an opportunity to shoot one of his music videos. And again, there's just too much anxiety linked to it. I got way too nervous. And I got way too afraid of the success that could be had. And I ghosted him. And I'm very sorry for that, Daniel. Again, it was partly because I went into this depression abyss that I sometimes get into, and it didn't end up happening. And that's shitty, but that's something that I'm working on, and that's me. So I figured I'd just be open and honest with you guys. Podcasts for me have always been like a thing that showed me that I'm not alone, and that I can improve, and there are ways to improve, and that there are other people who may be famous, maybe not. They go through the same things, and they made it out on the other side. So I like to stay super, super honest about everything, just so people can see that in case you do think I'm like this spotless person, I got a bunch of shit that I'm working on too. So anyway, I think that's a proper way to start this episode, because we do get into that exact topic of depression and of getting out of those things and success and like a bunch of different things. But please listen, Mr. Daniel Farb. You are now listening to The Process with Colin Cummings. That's my intro song right now. You like that? That's it. That's all I got.
You did ayahuasca?
I did ayahuasca. Ayahuasca was a trip, and it was great. It was absolutely great. And after I was done, I was like, I don't need to do this stuff anymore. I'm done doing
There's
this.
a quote from some hallucinogenic guru guy. He said, once you get the message, put down the phone. Otherwise, it's like, why are you doing it, right?
That's a great way of putting it. That's actually exactly what it was. I was
Yeah,
just
like I've learned all I can from this.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're just.
Because ayahuasca is actually a very like mother energy, and it kind of just came to me, and it was just like, you don't have to keep doing this.
Right.
I was like in the midst of this huge trip, all these people around, people are crying, screaming, and it's just like, you don't need to keep doing this. It was like, you can stop. And I was like, yeah, I think I'm gonna stop. I think that's smart.
You gotta test the levels or something.
Oh yeah, we're all good. I know that much.
Okay.
Where you are, yeah. This is the back of the mic. That's the front of the mic. I think they're called cardioids.
Mm-hmm.
So they go. Like
you can tell which way it's facing.
Yeah, it literally says back on the back. So like you can see it right
you
there.
got tipped off.
Yeah. Man. So, what do I do here? I gotta work on my lighting. I'm gonna get better at that. But we're here.
Yeah.
We're here. Do you go by Foob still, or is it?
Yeah.
Or is it
Foob.
just Daniel?
Well, a lot of people from high school and who know me and like Toronto hip hop scene will still call me Foob.
True.
But everyone in like my other professional life or other aspects of my life won't call me that usually.
Dr. Farb.
Not doctor.
No?
No, I don't have a PhD.
Really?
Master's. So
Masters in what?
Counseling, psychotherapy.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So I'm not technically a doctor.
Wow. I should actually introduce you to a friend of mine because he's actually thinking of taking that exact course. He wants to get his master's in counseling. Wow. I should actually, that's funny that you actually say that. I should actually introduce you guys because he's unsure if he wants to take it.
Oh, yeah.
But he definitely has the ability. Like he's definitely that kind of person that could help people. So
yeah.
I should actually, I got to do that, organize that. But yeah, here with Daniel Farb and psychotherapist.
Yeah.
I like this. I like this a lot because I really wanted to start talking to people like in this range of things. I guess you can say field or realm, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, I really wanted to start talking about stuff like this. The mind.
Right.
And with that, do you actually go into the mind? Like, is that a lot of your study? Like when you were in school or even now when you're like in the field?
When you say go into the mind, what do you mean?
Well, I mean, is that what you deal with the most? Or is it like people's circumstances? Is it
right? It's everything. You're dealing with human beings. So the mind, their physical health, body, their emotional world,
yeah,
the circumstances they're dealing with, their relationships. So it's really, my view is sort of to look at all of it.
Okay.
But mostly dealing with the internal world is where my specialty is.
True.
So a lot of like, there may be people who are more on the social service work side who are really helping people navigate the system and like their circumstances and stuff like that. That's not like, I help people with that when I need to, but that's not really my area of specialty.
Okay. It's
dealing with everything from, well, inside the person. So their body, their mind, everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So basically, I shouldn't say basically, but like because I've interviewed a couple coaches and it seems like you're a coach like on steroids. It's like, right? So some coaches are just like, they're just me and they decide that they're a coach. But it seems like you took like this whole master's degree and like now you're kind of doing that for people.
Yeah. Well, coaching is like, from my perspective, you're kind of telling people what to do to achieve a certain outcome.
Okay.
At least to a certain extent.
Definitely.
Right? There could be a lot of other stuff, but it's mostly like when I think of a coach, it's like I can help you get to where you want to go and like do what I say and you'll get there, right? And if you know what you're talking about, you're probably right.
Definitely.
Right? So if like a fitness coach is like, you want to achieve this result, you must do this, this, and this. And if you do it, you'll get there. With psychotherapy, it's a lot less directive. So people come to you with all kinds of issues. And you know, usually what people say, this is why I'm here, this is what I want to deal with, is not always where you end up addressing, because there could be some other stuff going on that they're not even aware of, that you're not aware of, stuff that's blocking them. So generally it's because people are unhappy or suffering in some way.
Okay.
Right? There's unhappiness, there's suffering, something's not going well in their life, relationships, their relationship to themselves, their career, whatever. And then you have to help them see what about themselves or their ways of relating could be getting in the way of leading a more, whatever life it is, fulfilling, happy, productive, enjoyable life, right? And it's not always as straightforward as to tell people what to do. Like some psychotherapists will never even tell people what to do at all. I give people suggestions all the time, just as little experiments. Like, let's try this and see what happens. But it's never like you should do this, right? But if in the context of a certain goal, I may give some shoulds. Like if you want to, quit drugs or something like that, you probably should stop hanging around those same people or something like that, right?
Definitely.
Doesn't mean I'm right. Just that's my suggestion, right? So that's what I see as the biggest difference is sometimes just a strictly like behavioral intervention, like go do this and then report back to me.
Yeah.
Some people can do that, but for a lot of people, that's not enough. By the time they come to see a psychotherapist, it's because they've got all the advice and they haven't been able to follow through for whatever reason, or the advice that was given to them was not the right advice, right?
True. So it's like they've been through a bunch, they've learned a bunch, and they have it all in like this messy pile, and then you're gonna like almost help them sort it out. Sometimes
they haven't learned anything. Sometimes I'm the first person they've ever seen in terms of seeking help with their life.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So they've never seen, like most people have never seen a life coach. Most people don't know what a life coach is.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, life coach, high performance coach.
Yeah.
I like when I got to like my early 20s, I needed some kind of mentorship. So like I sought it out in terms of like digital mentors, like the Tony Robbinses and Eric Thomases and Jim Rohns and stuff. So like I'm very familiar with it. But yeah, I guess a lot of people wouldn't know what that stuff is.
Yeah, unless you're like seeking it.
True. So then, what are some of the, and obviously you can't talk about anybody specific or anything, but like what do you see the most that's holding people back from like achieving that life that they want?
I mean, the most common you see in terms of like mental health areas are anxiety and depression or some combination of those. Difficulty managing stress, anger, relationship problems. These are like the most common things, like pretty much universal human experiences, a lot of them.
Yeah.
And then sometimes they go to a threshold where they become like a driving force in the person's life. So every human being will experience some form of anxiety at different points in their life.
Yeah, definitely.
Like and fear and things like that. And some people just go to more of an extreme with it or don't know how to handle those experiences, and then the way they try to handle, like say fear or worry, turns into more of a problem.
Yeah.
And it becomes this vicious cycle that they get stuck in some way. So that's sort of very generally what I'll see. I mean, my main focus and interest is in psychological trauma, whether that's from like discrete events or mostly the most common is like something that happens along the course of development growing up, that gets you to be a certain way in the world or gets you stuck on something, and then it keeps showing up, but it's not like very clear what it is, and you have to help the person make sense of that.
When you do that, are the people clear on what the trauma is, or do they sometimes not even know that they've gone through some traumatic
It's not always identified as trauma, and it's not always clear what it is, especially if it happens when you're very young. Like literally you can't process it the way an adult brain would.
Yeah. And
it's traumatic, which even for an adult brain doesn't process normally. So sometimes it just shows up in their bodies.
Really?
Or it'll just show up in a particular behavior, and there's no clear connection, and you really have to be sort of a detective to figure it out and make sense of it for them. And that's where my own training and development comes in, as what I bring to the table is like to actually help make sense of it.
So how do you actually do that? How do you like sort through that? Like somebody has like, I don't know, like say like an eating disorder, and you have to like figure out something that happened when they were younger. Maybe.
Sometimes you do. Sometimes you don't need to go there.
Yeah.
If it's relevant, you go there.
Okay.
There's different approaches. There's got to be, there's like some literature says there's 400 different approaches to psychotherapy. So,
really?
And there's no one right one. There's no one that's like definitively better than other ones.
Yeah.
But you need to have some approach that you believe in that makes sense to you. And it also needs to make sense for the person you're helping. Otherwise, they're not going to buy into it, right?
True.
So there's like this whole literature on common factors in psychotherapy. And some of the common factors, I mean, the most important predictor of therapeutic change or outcome is the quality of the relationship between a therapist and their client. The techniques and the theoretical orientation is much smaller part of the pie in terms of the results.
Really?
So the quality of the relationship is number one. in terms of what's in the therapist's control.
Okay.
And the theoretical orientation and techniques, like you need to have an approach, but it doesn't matter. There's no objectively one better one.
That makes sense.
So the common factors are the relationship, having an approach and expectancy that this person will be able to help me coming from the client, some rationale for why they are dealing with what they're dealing with, and some way forward, whether that's certain techniques or just a certain approach. Like these are like the common factors that have to be there. If any of them are missing, change is not likely to happen.
Wow. That's nuts.
Yeah.
So like rapport is like a huge thing.
Yeah. Like you have to have some sense of trust or liking the person a little bit.
Yeah.
Right.
He ever like not had that and been like, I don't know what to do for this person.
Yeah. Like there's no one therapist can help everybody. Sometimes it's just not a good fit. And I'm sure there's probably dozens of people I've seen who I haven't been that helpful towards. I don't really know. Most of the time we don't know the ultimate outcome.
Really?
No, because especially when you're working, like you see someone once or twice and they never come back or they don't follow up, or, you don't hear from them again. Who knows what happened to them? Maybe they got what they needed and they're happily on their way. Maybe you didn't help them at all and now they're seeking help somewhere else. Maybe they got worse. Like you don't always know, right?
Yeah.
They're not going to call and be like in 6 months, hey, this is how I'm doing. No, it's like people just sometimes ghost and just disappear and you don't know what happens.
Wow.
Other times you do get to see the change and that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, how do you deal with like not knowing? Like somebody just disappears.
It's out of my control.
Yeah.
Once they're outside once they're no longer sitting in front of me, I have zero influence or control.
Yeah.
And so trying to assert control by worrying about it is just going to produce stress for me that doesn't help anybody.
Wow.
So that's that mental kind of boundary of like sometimes you'll think about someone, you'll worry about them a little bit. You're like, oh, I wonder how they're doing. But I got to practice what I preach. Like when people are needlessly worrying about things, they're actually not doing anything productive, but they feel like they're solving something, but you're not.
Yeah.
You're just stressing yourself out. You're not actively planning. You're just ruminating. And then you stress yourself out and deplete your resources, and it's a waste. So it's something I have to be really mindful about. It's like if I start ruminating or dwelling on something, it's like, okay, something's stuck there. I need to go talk to someone about it, or I need to just find a way to be okay with this and put it in the past, right?
And who will you go and talk to?
If I need to talk to somebody, I'll consult either like a colleague or seek like supervision myself.
Yeah.
So you basically seek another therapist who's at least as experienced or more experienced and debrief it.
And they can talk to you about that makes sense.
Get some perspective on it, right?
Yeah, exactly. So that makes sense. Huh. I feel like that's something I should do. Yeah, I think that's something everybody should do.
Yeah, it's like as a coach, like you should have your own coach. Like I don't actively seek individual supervision too much lately because I haven't found much need to, but I get a lot of that met through just like people I work with
and just
talking with through like other therapists I work with, or like other people. Like I work at a job in addition to my prior practice, so I get some of that there.
True.
I've run some like peer supervision groups. So
do you?
Yeah, I haven't in a while, but I've run a few.
What is that?
It's a bunch of therapists sitting around and talking about.
Oh, really?
I have this client. I'm struggling with this. Do you guys have any ideas? And you just give each other ideas.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So you guys like just get together and kind of like, support each other.
Basically, that's the idea. Yeah.
That's really cool. I want to do that. I want to do that with like men. Like I want like a men's group. That's kind of like that. And people like talk.
Yeah, there are groups like that. I mean, some are like therapists run men's groups, but there's also like men's organizations.
Yeah.
My dad and my brother are actually involved in. It's called like Men's Division International or something like that.
Really?
Yeah.
Men's Division.
MDI, I think.
Really?
Yeah, and it's just basically like a men's like personal. It's like personal growth and stuff, but it's also like just pure support kind of thing.
Wow.
Dealing with issues of whatever it is.
I have to look into that because that'd be really cool. I want to get into that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm dealing with right now? I'm dealing with, do I want to become a coach and help people? Or do I want to become a comedian and just talk shit all day?
Could do both.
Could you though? I keep thinking that like maybe you could do both, but like if you say crazy yeah, maybe not politically correct things, and then like you're a coach. It's like it would be a
Yeah.
hard balance.
That's the thing, like with me, like doing rap for many years and then becoming a therapist, and it's like MC Foob,
Yeah.
Daniel Farb, and like some of the stuff I've put out, like if you like it doesn't bode well for like looking as like a therapist, right? Like,
Right.
oh, that's a really angry song. Oh, that's a like ridiculous obscene parody song. Like you've seen some of that stuff, right?
Yeah.
So, but I'm getting to a point now where I don't care as much anymore,
Yeah.
and I'm actually going to be releasing a new EP sometime this year that's actually about personal like mental health struggles and perspective on it.
Really?
Yeah. So that's something I'm going to be releasing this year. And so I'm trying to fuse my two identities,
Yeah.
the alter ego of MC Foob and me, and just like, it's both me. It's all me, right?
Yeah.
And so the biggest thing that would get in the way or has gotten in the way is just fear of like, oh, what if someone sees that and then they don't want to, see me, I lose business because of that. And I'm like,
Yes.
honestly, I think that fear is too blown out of proportion in my own mind. And if I lose one or two people because of that, that's not the end of the world.
Yeah, I guess if you lose one or two people, but you're still following that passion wholly and like not having to, censor yourself, then I guess it's worth it, really.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, I mean, sometimes there's the school of thought, like if you want to make it as a artist or a comedian or whatever, it's like you kind of have to put your whole life into it.
Yeah.
But you also still got to eat. And also, like for me, the thing was like on the road to trying to make it in an artistic sense, your life is not going to probably look great in terms of all the aspects of like personal fulfillment and relationships, the amount of money you're making, like
yes,
probably not. And this is why I shifted my career, is because you could put 10 years into that, which might be necessary, and still not make a living off it, right?
Yeah.
So definitely. Then what? Now you're like 40 and you're still faced with, what do I want to do, right? So my compromise was find something I'm actually passionate about that makes a difference and they'll pay me for, and then still do the music on the side. So that was my own choice, right?
Yeah.
But I think most of the people who like succeed as just an artist, like they do put their whole life into it and they take a huge risk in doing that.
Completely.
And most of them will not make it to a level where, certainly not make it to a superstar level, and most will not make it to a level where they're even making a living off it. And if they are making a living off it, very low income bracket, right?
Definitely.
So
yeah, it's very true.
That's just my I mean, that's what I've seen, right?
Yeah, right. I mean, yeah, we all see it. Like if we think of how many superstars there are, there's maybe a couple dozen.
Yeah, and even though people I know they're not superstars, but they make a living, like their full time is doing music, for example. Like it's a very particular lifestyle. Like you're on the road a lot, touring, you're always working and grinding. And yeah, I mean, some people are well suited to that. Certainly it's not like if, say you want to settle down and have a family or something, it can be very difficult to negotiate those. And I'm sure I know there are some that do.
Yeah, but
it takes a certain breed, I think. And I don't think I'm that breed. Like when I viewed it as like, I'm either going to have to forego all that and just focus on myself and do this, or it's not going to work. Like,
yeah,
I didn't see a way to make that work.
Yeah. And also when you say special breed, it's not even just the special breed of you, but the special breed of like the person that you're with.
Oh, yeah.
Well, right.
Yeah. They got to be okay with all that.
Yeah. I have a girlfriend that's very okay. Like when I met her, I didn't have a mushroom tattooed on my hand, and now I do, and she's like okay with that. So
that's the test. If you get a mushroom tattooed on your hand and she stays, you're golden.
I think so. But yeah, that's so true. That whole, that's something I'm wrestling with right now, because I really want to go on stage and do a comedy.
Have you done it before?
No.
Well,
but I really want to do it.
Do you have any like written material?
Yeah,
okay.
A bunch.
Best thing to do is just start doing it.
Yeah, I might as well.
Just fucking go up there and bomb or do well or whatever. Like that's what I started doing. Just started doing open mics. Just go up and do it. That's the way you're going to learn, right?
Yeah, exactly. Like I'm 100% not afraid of learning that craft, because I've been engrossed in it for years. Like a lot of people don't know, but like my mother and me, like as a kid, all I did with her is watch stand up.
Oh yeah.
Like we literally just watch Just for Laughs until like 9 o'clock, and then watch BET Comic View until like 11 o'clock. And like that was like it for like years.
Wow.
Like, years and years and years. And that was like that was like the first time I saw her happy, and that it always made me happy, and like it was always a really amazing thing. So I really want to do it. So I might as well do it. Fuck it.
Yeah, like you gotta go to those whatever amateur comedy nights and open mics and just do it.
Yeah, you'll help people, and I'll talk shit.
Yeah, and that'll help people too. Make people laugh. Like there's like so many people that get so much like get to laugh at the absurdity of life because of comedians, right? Or stuff they take so seriously, and they are able to just like say screw it for at least that time, right?
Yeah, exactly.
You know, I think comedians, that's a really hard gig, I think.
What, doing comedy?
Yeah, stand-up comedy is yeah. I mean, performing as like an MC is one thing but I don't really have to make them laugh. That's the thing. If I make them laugh or I make them nod their I'm trying to make them nod their heads, if anything. But they could just sit there and enjoy it and not do anything, right? But comedian, you need a particular response. It's called laughing.
Yeah.
And if you don't get it, it's like you feel bad and you're failing. But
sometimes you don't want laughter. Sometimes you want them to go, you want them to get like,
you want them to cringe or yeah.
Which is also hard.
And then
right?
and then joke at that part of it.
Yeah.
Like I thought, I'm a pretty humorous person, I think, in my own life, and like, but I think if I got on stage, I wouldn't be that funny. Like I'm good at like on the fly, like making jokes and stuff in social situations, but on stage, that's it's not something I ever seriously considered, because
I really want to do it. I think I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it soon. I have to see what happens.
Just do it,
because that's what I've been thinking. Because actually, as you can see, I have all my passions listed, all my talents listed, and then the opportunities that are there. I left out comedian, but I wanted to like put it there. And like,
comedy. Oh, it's a passion.
Yeah, it's definitely a passion.
Oh, okay.
And there is an opportunity there with it to just go in there. So,
yeah. Same with like,
we'll see.
I've been thinking of going, like, I used to love acting. Like in high school, I did all the drama classes and stuff.
Really?
Yeah, I loved it, but I never pursued it. Like I've done a couple auditions here and there, never got anywhere. I didn't really like pursue it seriously. But I'm thinking of going and just doing like, bars have like improv comedy nights, like just because it's so fun. Yeah. And like I'm not trying to
do it,
make a career, but like it's one of those things that's like I'm gonna get to that at some point.
That's even more fun, I think. Like you're saying, like with being a comedian, how like nerve-wracking it could all be, but like when you're doing like the improv stuff, it's like that's a lot of fun because you're with like 4 other people. There's other people there, and similar in that you have to be really like present. I want to do that for me is harder in my mind than doing the comedy for some reason.
But have you done either?
Improv? I not in front of like a crowd of 100, but definitely in front of a crowd of 20.
Okay, so you've done some improv stuff.
No, like that's my life. That's my life, talking shit with people and like making people laugh in front of, like, I've always done that. Like, that's great.
And the thing is, like, you never know what it's actually like till you've done it a couple of times, right? Like, in
front of that crowd. Yeah. In front of a crowd that's expecting it. Yeah. Because like if your friends are just there, like, I mean, they're like, whatever, this is great.
Yeah, people are coming there and like make me laugh.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, here's what I got. Right? So live performance is like, for me, it was always been, or was a very therapeutic thing too. Cause like,
really?
If you have any form of, self-doubt or anxiety, whatever, it's like all on stage, everyone can see it.
Really?
Well,
oh man, don't say that. Here, I'm just going to reset the cameras. You're right though.
I don't know if maybe that's not the right way to say it. Maybe they can't actually see it. Sometimes it'll come across. Yeah. But you'll feel it. That's for damn sure. You'll feel it. And it'll come to the surface because you're like, any opportunity for people to judge you, assess you, like you, not like you, it's all right there, magnified.
True.
And you're actually asking them to, in a way, by their feedback.
Yeah, that's true.
But all I can say, like, best thing to do is just friggin' do it, and then do it again, and then do it again. Where I used to work at Mood Disorders Association of Ontario, they have a program called Laughing Like Crazy, and it's for people with depression, anxiety, stuff like that. They do several weeks of like peer support, and they learn to do stand-up routines, and mostly they're joking about their mental health issues or like medications or psychiatrists. And then they get up at the end of it and they perform it in front of a couple hundred people.
Wow.
And these are people who like they probably have significant anxiety issues, right?
Yeah.
And it's a form of therapy for them. It's
That's-
exposure, right? You're exposing yourself to the thing you think is the most dangerous, horrible thing in the world, and then people laugh and you have a good time and you don't die. And then you learn something from that.
Yeah.
Right?
That's so true. Yeah, that's so true. Addressing the elephant that's in your room and then realizing that you don't die from that.
Yeah. Most of the things we think feel like they could kill us or harm us.
Yeah.
When in the realm of anxiety, like 95% of them never happen.
Yeah.
They just don't.
Yeah, it's so true.
And even if they do, you can deal with them most of the time.
Yeah.
They won't kill you.
Yeah.
But the part of our nervous system that comes from is the part that tells you you're going to die.
Yeah.
Or potentially going to be harmed.
Yeah.
So that's why it's really confusing.
That's so true.
Public speaking feels like you might actually die, but chances of that are very slim unless someone's trying to assassinate you, right?
Yeah, right.
And you'd have to be a pretty high profile, controversial person with,
Yeah, right. That's so true. Yeah, because nothing will happen. You just go up and actually Dave Chappelle talks about that when he talks about the first time he bombed and like everybody was booing. He was like at the Apollo.
Oh yeah.
And like that crowd is like ruthless. And they're all booing him and like yelling and all this. And he's standing there. He's like, this isn't that bad. He's like, this is okay.
Yeah.
He's like, my family's in front of me.
Most of the like very successful comedians experience that, I'm sure.
For sure.
Like any kind of performer probably experiences really horrible shows, bad negative feedback.
Definitely.
And then you say, okay, you didn't like me. What can I do differently next time?
Yeah.
I think if you take it as a personal failing, like I suck, now you're in trouble. But if you think something in my routine didn't work, I need to adjust. Now you can move forward. But I think a lot of times we personalize stuff. We think this means something bad about me and my talents and my who I am as a person. Then you're like, good luck just like modifying something to fix that, right?
That's true. That's true, yeah. Which comes from the sentiment, don't take it personal, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, even if you do take it personally, like realize you're doing that and take a step back at some point. Okay, now that I'm done beating the crap out of myself, now what can I actually do differently, right?
Yeah. And that's all, I guess that's all life is, right? Making adjustments. Not taking things personally, making the adjustments, moving forward with those adjustments, seeing what happens.
It's a much more productive way to live than I'm a piece of crap and I can't do anything right, so I'll just stop trying. Well, now you just shoot yourself in the foot, right?
Yeah, definitely. True.
Easier said than done.
Yeah. And at the end of it all, it's much easier said than done.
Everything I'm saying is easier said than done.
Yeah. But I mean, has to be said. Definitely has to be said, especially on this podcast. Mindset podcast.
This is where we say things.
Yeah.
Might as well say them here.
That should be my new motto. This is where we say things.
You can use it.
That would be a good one. Man, yeah, that's actually really true. So like when you're doing actually, you know what? I was wondering, what was your first performance like? Because you said you were doing open mics at one point, and I assume that was like with music, right?
Yeah, my first performance was at U of T, part of the student club called Hip Hop Heads.
Wow.
I was probably 19 or 20. And I think I actually had some friends from high school come down as well to see me perform. It was my first one. I like practiced like by myself.
Yeah.
I think I'm like in my garage, like, and I think I literally remember my hand was shaking, but I just there's adrenaline, right?
Yeah.
I just fucking did it and went pretty well. Like people gave me good feedback after, heads were nodding, like no one booed me, like nothing bad happened. And like mostly especially with like a hip hop show or something, like you'd have to be really bad to get booed, I think, like at least in Toronto. Like people will mostly just not pay you any attention, and that's sometimes worse, right? If they're not feeling it, it's indifference, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, it went pretty well, and I was encouraged by that, and I was like, okay, just keep doing it, right? And I kept doing it, and I've never had like a show where it went badly for me in terms of my performance. I've had shows that sucked because there was no one there. That's the worst. Like there's like the bartender, the guy who organized the show, like one other person. You still got to do it, and it feels shitty, man. Like, does it? I hated it. Those were the worst. Like in front of like two people, and like, they're there because they have to be, not because they want to be, right? Yeah. So like anytime there's at least like 10 people, like that's fine. But like when it's like one or two, that's hard. You still they're there though, right? You got to show up and do it.
Yeah, you gotta
But
like give it like there's
crushes your soul a little
Does
bit
it?
each time, just a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess so. Like if you're all like pumped, especially if you have that adrenaline.
Or you've been waiting to like I've been on shows. There's like lineup of like they put way too many people on, so you wait for like 4 hours, and by the time you get on, everyone's left, and you're just like, why the fuck am I even here? You know, like
Wow.
those are the bad experiences. The good experiences though are really good. Like
Of course.
some really memorable ones are just like amazing, like peak performance experiences. You know?
Yeah. Wow.
So
Couldn't
you
imagine.
get a mix, right?
I actually remember I was in LA. I was actually getting this tattoo, this mushroom here.
How many mushrooms do you have?
I think 5. Well, I mean, if we count like 1.
Oh, there's
2,
mushrooms
3.
in the lotus.
Yeah, it's like a mushroom mandala.
Oh
So
boy.
there's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I probably have like 20 mushrooms on my arm.
Okay.
And there's gonna be more too. But I was getting that tattoo. I just got that tattoo done with John Chu.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, as soon as I got
Did he
there.
get one too?
No, he just watched mine. As soon as I touched down, I called John and we organized like to meet. He drove me to the tattoo place right away, and I was like, "Yeah, I need a mushroom." And this guy named Dr. Memo, he came down. He's like, "All right,
Dr. Memo.
Yeah, or Mr. Memo, I forget.
That's a great name.
Yeah, and then he did the tattoo for me. And then right away we left and we headed down to the Comedy Store, and I missed all the Chris D'Elias, and I think Joe Rogan was there, and like a bunch of Liza Slesher, like a bunch of really good comedians. And we got down to like, it was like the last like 4 people, and there was maybe like 8 of us, maybe 6.
Mm-hmm.
And this comedian, I think her name was like Punky Johnson or something, and she just had to perform,
Mm-hmm.
and there was like nobody there. And
You guys were there.
yeah, exactly. We were there, but like we were like near the back to the
Yeah.
side, and like she was like trying to perform to like empty seats. Like
Mhm.
it was,
It's tough.
Yeah, it looked hard, but she was going at it like as if there was like a packed room.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
I mean, that's the thing is if you let that affect your performance and get sour and stuff, that doesn't look very professional.
true.
And people will be like, not going to give this person another chance if they gave you a chance to get on or whatever, right?
Yeah, true.
So it's that's a tough one.
Man, but I was so like entranced because it was like, this is like a comedian like doing like
Mhm.
this right now. This is like probably not the best show she's done, and like in terms of like the audience, and it probably felt shitty. But like she was just doing it.
Mm-hmm.
She was just like going out there working out material, and like
Yeah, it's practice at the very least, right?
yeah, and it was actually pretty inspiring. But I was like, damn, this must be hard.
Yeah.
There's like nobody there. Even John was like, I'm gonna get going. A
Yeah.
couple people left like while she was doing it.
Oh,
And I was
yeah.
like, jeez. I didn't even want to. All my friends wanted to leave. I'm like, no, we're not leaving like in the middle of her set.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't want to do that.
Yeah, most people don't have that sense of decency. I don't know if you call it decency or like consideration for the person performing.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know this person anything. I'm just kind of here. I'm just going to go. But it's like, yeah, like they see you leave and that affects them.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, man, because if we left, there was like 5 of us. If we left, there'd be like 2 people, 3 people.
Okay.
I was like, nah, man, we can't do that. I'm like, let's just sit it out. Come on.
Was she good? Did you laugh?
Yeah, I was laughing mainly, at the jokes. It was, yeah, she was saying some crazy stuff. And she needed, like, the bits she was doing, she needed crowd participation. And she didn't have the right crowd and right people. So it was like, it was just cool to see somebody like working it out that way. I was like, geez.
Mm-hmm.
Because of course at that time I know that I want to do comedy, and I'm like, man,
You got to be able to like improvise and freestyle. I think that's a really
yeah,
essential thing, depending on what the crowd's doing and who's there, how many people are there.
How
Like
many.
that. If you're just like, this is my routine and I do it, and no matter what, like you need to have that. But I think being able to freestyle, like as any kind of performer, is really,
and adapt.
to adapt,
You
right?
know, like, but I admired it a lot, and that was a great experience just being at the Comedy Store. It's like a very well known comedy place, I guess you can say.
Yeah, I've heard of it, and I'm not even in that.
Oh,
world,
really?
Yeah.
Oh, true. Yeah. Joe Rogan goes there a lot, and his whole like team of people. And the day we left, Dave Chappelle did a special there. If we just stayed one more day,
Wow.
Could have saw Dave Chappelle do his famous special that's gonna go down in history, but we laughed.
The one that he did on Netflix, or
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the
That-
small
that-
one,
that
right?
smaller
Oh, that
one.
was in the Comedy Store. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, that was so good.
that was a great
Yeah,
one.
that's one you got to watch a few times to really get the analogy of what he's saying, right?
Yeah, he's going deep in that one. I liked it a lot. I was like, man, I can't believe we just missed that.
Hmm.
But meant to be.
Yeah, I don't know if you would have got tickets to get it. Like that must have been like sold out.
I honestly don't think so. I don't.
It was like an impromptu.
Yeah,
Just kind of showed up.
Yeah, he doesn't like set himself up like, hey, Dave Chappelle.
It would go against the vibe that he was trying to do for that one too, which is just
Exactly.
like little comedy shop kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. I like that a lot. Now that I'm saying that, I'm gonna watch it again.
Yeah, he's brilliant.
He's incredible.
Yeah.
Absolutely incredible. Who's the Dave Chappelle of psychotherapy?
I don't even know. I don't know what that would even be. There's so many, like, there's all the like classic names, and then there's so many people out there doing it today, and it's just like I don't even know.
True.
Can't even say.
True. Who are some like because like I interviewed this guy. He was like big into like philosophy and behavioral science and psychology, and he was like really interested in like Carl Jung and like different guys like that. Like, do you have anybody like that you like admire their work?
I mean, Carl Jung is very interesting, his stuff. Viktor Frankl is another one. Read some he's actually one of the famous therapists who's still alive. His name is Irv Yalom from the US.
Earl Yellum?
Irvin Yalom. Yeah.
Okay.
So his stuff's pretty interesting. Gives you like more of an insight into like his mind as a therapist and like the stuff he actually thinks when he's doing it. That's been pretty interesting. Another person who's actually still alive, her name's Janina Fisher. She's like a trauma-focused therapist, works a lot with like severely traumatized people. Okay. Like dissociative identity disorders, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are some of the names that come to mind, but there's so many names that like have all contributed and like worked together and stuff like that. It's hard to just point out one or two.
True.
Those are just some of them that pop on top of my head.
Yeah, that's true. Man, yeah, I'm trying to find more people in the field that I can like read about and like read their work and stuff, because I'm like trying to like, I don't know, become more learned in general, just in like mental stuff. I like stuff about the mind like a lot, because like I'm still trying to figure mine out, I guess.
Yeah, there's so much out there, and a lot of it is just like derivative of something else or repackaging it. Like there's a million different versions of CBT out there. Okay. Cognitive behavioral therapy and like workbooks and like self-help, and like they're all basically the same kind of principles behind them, which is to like examine your thinking patterns objectively as you can and see, are they helpful, are they distorted, are they rational, and like try to be more objective about your own thoughts themselves. That's the whole cognitive element anyway. There's so many out there, but if you go, I actually think I put some book recommendations on my website.
Really?
Yeah, if you want to check some that I have read in the past 5 or 10 years that have been influential.
Amazing.
Yeah,
I'll definitely check that out. How do you do that though? How do you actually watch your thoughts and like see those thought patterns and see if they're productive?
Well, the CBT approach is like written exercises. Like you write down situations and feelings and thoughts, and then you try to get more clarity on like which are the thoughts that might be more kind of charged in my mind emotionally, and like see if they, and then you there's different techniques, but you go through an analytic process to see, are they rational? Yeah. Where's the evidence for this? Is thinking this actually helping me, or is it just making me feel more upset? Like you kind of take a step back, and that part is similar to mindfulness in that if you're meditating and you're being mindful, you notice your thoughts instead of just being hijacked by them and going with them, right? That analogy of like, you can have your thoughts as like various trains going by, and you can jump on and go with them and like feed them, or you can kind of sit back and like be like, oh, there's that thought, oh, there's that feeling that goes with that thought. And like that's what mindfulness teaches, is to be a little bit decentered, so that you're a little bit further back and can kind of observe your experience rather than just be immersed or engulfed in it, I should say. Yeah,
I need to start doing that more. Definitely.
It's a practice, right? And like we can be in that state and strengthen that kind of ability to just be with experience. Or I mean, most of the time we go in and out of like present moment awareness and like a thought and a narrative, but like intentionally bringing a state of just being with something to an experience. That's what mindfulness is, without trying to add a whole bunch of other stuff, a bunch of, your judgments, your interpretations, your, trying to control it, trying to change it, trying to achieve a certain outcome. All of these are counter to being mindful, basically.
Yeah, but isn't that like with the, what's it, CBT? Isn't that what you're trying to do? You're trying to like judge these thought patterns and like.
So CBT, it has, a component of being mindful, but it's also like more active in that you're trying to do something with them.
Okay.
You're trying to change them or challenge them or restructure your thoughts in some way to be a little more balanced or whatever you want to call it.
How can you do that? How can you change your thoughts, like change your thought pattern?
Well, practice and repetition basically is if you look up a thought record, you'll see the most common process for doing that. But you're kind of becoming a bit of like, you're becoming like a skeptical philosopher. It comes from the Stoic tradition of philosophy.
Really? And
this, like the Stoic tradition basically says, the way we perceive the world is filtered through our thoughts, and like the way that, like the quote that nothing is either good or bad, but thinking makes it so. Like we judge and interpret everything, right?
Yeah.
I don't know who said that one. That was maybe Shakespeare. But like
really?
the idea goes back thousands of years, right? That, stuff happens. Objective reality, as far as we know, is objective. Like this is a metal thing. Mm-hmm. And then we judge it. Oh, it's too high. It's too short. I like it. I don't like it. I feel weird about it. I don't, like we add a lot to our experience.
Definitely.
We manifest secondary reactions, if you want to call it that, over the primary sensory experience.
Okay.
Right? And when we do that, we create another level of reality in our own minds. And that other level of reality doesn't necessarily change anything out there, but in our minds it does.
Yeah.
So the classic example is someone walks by you on the street, you know them, you wave, they don't wave back. Now, based on your interpretation, you're going to feel all kinds of ways, right?
Yeah.
You think, wow, they must be mad at me. What did I do wrong? Now you feel maybe confused or insecure or anxious. You may think, wow, they must not have seen me. You're just like, okay, let it go. You think, oh, what a jerk. You feel angry, right? So your interpretation, of course, is going to influence in those situations, right?
I've had that exact thing happen.
Yeah, everyone's had something like that. It's like, did they not see me? Did they not like me? Are they mad at me? Did I not wave right? Like, who knows? Like we try to figure it out and make sense of it, and we always do it more or less imperfectly because we can't know everything.
Yeah.
We don't have all the information. So we make the best guess we can, but we like certainty. So we like to assume we're right at the same time.
Of course.
But we're often not, or at least we're often slightly off, right?
Mm-hmm. But do we want that? Do we want the to be right, like that certainty, so we can like put that away?
Sometimes. There's a lot of, sometimes it makes us feel better. Oh, I know what's going on here. Okay. Now I don't have to worry about it. I've categorized it in my mind in a certain place, so now I don't have to look at it anymore. If you don't know and you're just left wondering, that's anxiety, right?
Yeah.
It's just worrying and just like, oh, what's going on? It's unknown. I have to control it. I can't control it. Right? So sometimes it's, we need to categorize things, right?
Yeah, definitely.
But we don't always do it accurately, and sometimes we get into patterns of interpreting things a certain way that are not so helpful for us.
True. Man, I like this. It's so amazing that you have all this in your head. Like, do you use this stuff to your advantage? Like, some people will study something and just know it, and like that's just some stuff they know. But like other people actively use.
Well, it's part of my job, so I have to be using it, right? That's why it's like, it's got to be intuitive understanding of it.
Yeah.
In my own personal life, I don't always use it, for sure. Like
sometimes
sometimes I just all this information is just somewhere else, and I'm caught up in whatever I'm caught up in, right?
True.
And reacting and doing, and then I if I start to notice, wow, I'm really irritable, or wow, I keep reacting this way, I got to take a step back and look at it, and then I can apply it. And it's always harder to apply to yourself than to somebody else, right? Because we're trying to turn our own lens inward. But that's what these skills can teach us.
True.
How to notice what's going on. Make sense of it.
Yeah, I need to do that. I feel like I do it to an extent, but like on the level that I understand it is like the whole power of positive thinking and that whole like kind of self-development stuff.
Yeah, that stuff is like can be helpful, but it's very, I find, almost like, one, it's very directed like to achieve a certain state, which you may not always achieve because it's very hard to control our minds and our moods.
Definitely.
And the other is like it can be very like surface. So I feel like imagine telling someone who's like suicidally depressed to think positively. It's like, that's not going to change how you feel in that moment.
Yeah.
Because your body is in a different state. So it's a denial of, sometimes I use the analogy of you're putting sprinkles or icing on a pile of mud or shit, right? Like, yeah, it's still a pile of shit underneath that you haven't dealt with, but now it's got sprinkles on it, right?
Yeah.
So, you know, there's a lot missing in like, we need to learn to like be with our fears, our anxieties, our sadness, all these things. It's like they're in a lot of the pop psychology, it's like feeling positive is the outcome that you want. Like, if you just do this, everything will be great. And that is utter bullshit. Yeah. Because nothing will always be great all the time, because that's not the way the world is, and that's not the way people are. Yeah. And if you're fighting that, a good book to read is The Happiness Trap. It's Trap. Yeah, it's based on acceptance and commitment therapy, which incorporates a bunch of mindfulness and other things. But the idea that if you think you should be happy all the time, the fact that you're not is going to cause you to suffer quite a bit. True. Happiness is just an emotional state that comes and goes, and most of the time we feel somewhere in between despair and happiness, right? You're tired, you're kind of content, you're sad, you're a little worried, you're stressed out, you're calm. Like, that's what happens over the course of a day. Yeah, exactly. And sometimes we get, you know, depending on our own personal tendencies, you stay in one zone more than others, right? Some people are much more bubbly and up here, some people are more kind of mellow. Some people are more on the depressive side. Some people are more on the excitable side. And trying to like tell yourself, I shouldn't be the way I'm feeling right now, that's the layer of like added suffering, right? Yeah. From the Buddhist tradition, you're basically attached to being a certain way that you're not, or you're trying to, you're not being with what's there as a starting point. Yeah. Yeah. And so then you create all kinds of suffering, thinking, oh, I should be differently. I should. So I've used the positive thinking stuff at times to get me through hard things. But as a long-term general strategy and way of being in the world, I don't think it's the best. That's exactly what I found as well. That's why like I want to understand it more and more and like, better, because like that can only take you so far, I guess you could say. Yeah, and you can become delusional too. I don't know if you watched did you watch that Fire Festival documentary? No, I have to watch it. People keep telling me about it. But this guy is so delusional, and like there's all these problems coming up with his screwed up plan to make this festival, and he's just like, I don't want to hear it. Just get me solutions. Just get me answers. And it's just like, no, only positive thinkers around here. And it's like, you don't have a place to house the people coming to your festival, and you just want to think positively about it. You have a real problem you need to address, right? So positive thinking, and the goal with like, say, cognitive therapy and stuff is not to think more positively. It's just to think a little more realistically or balanced. So mostly a lot of people get stuck thinking of focusing only on bad things, but the good things are just as real. So why not bring those into the picture, right? Yeah. So we're all kind of hardwired to look for negatives in the form of like threats to help us survive, right? It's evolutionarily programmed. You don't need to worry about you know, the nice sunny day and the breeze and the nice flowers. You don't need to pay attention to that. That's safe. Yeah. You need to pay attention to the rustling in the bush over there that could be a predator, right? You need to pay attention to the guy in your village who may be trying to steal your resources or kill you or whatever. These are the actual potential threats. So of course we're hardwired to look to those. Definitely. We're not hardwired to be grateful. We're not hardwired to look at the good things in life. Yeah. So it's not about don't acknowledge what's crappy, but it's just more like bring into the picture the other side of things. Yeah. Or everything else that's there between, you know, just what's really good and really bad. There's a whole lot of gray that we just ignore. Yeah, definitely. And then we miss out on a lot. Yeah. And I guess that's where I like pick things up, like trying to like focus on that, because I'm very, like you said, hardwired to like look to the other stuff and then forget that. That's why I have like my gratefulness board there and like, working on the vision board and stuff. Yeah. And that stuff, yeah. Those can be ways to counteract our like negative bias. Yeah. Right? Yeah, exactly. Just balance things out a bit and focus, you know, just notice where are we putting our attention most of the time. Yeah. True. Man, that is it's a lot to think about. And seeing things as they are
I think that's what you're like touching on before when you were talking. And I think that's like a big thing, to see things as they actually are.
Yeah, and have that clarity, right? As much as we can be objective as subjective beings, right? Like everything, we don't know what the universe looks like outside of a human view. We don't, but
Sure.
we can have a degree of objectivity within our subjective experience, or if that makes sense. Like
Definitely. Repeat it.
wind chimes.
Yeah. It's gotta reverse this again.
Can I have some water?
Yeah. That water is for you.
Thank you, sir.
Oh, man. Yeah. Yeah. I like this stuff a lot. I got to learn about this stuff more. I don't have money for school, so I just get people to come on my podcast.
Teach you stuff. Yeah, like some of it, like there's a certain amount you can self-teach this stuff, like
Yeah,
with workbooks and reading about it.
of course.
And then, there's always every person, we all get to a point where we have blind spots and things we don't see. And it's helpful sometimes to have the external feedback of someone else,
Yeah,
because we learn a lot through relationships, right?
definitely.
But like, if you want to learn just basics of like CBT or mindfulness, there's a lot of books out there to
really
teach that stuff.
You said workbooks. Like, do people, general public, have access to like workbooks and stuff?
Yeah, there's one famous one for like cognitive behavioral therapy called Mind Over Mood.
Okay.
That's like one of the most well-known. It's pretty standard.
Mm-hmm.
So that one is like, it's like $20. You can buy it in Chapters or wherever online.
And what's it called?
Mind Over Mood.
Mind Over Mood.
And that one teaches just the basic principles of trying to be more objective about your own thoughts, or scrutinize them rather than just take them for granted.
Yeah.
And then, for mindfulness, there's tons of books out there too. Full Catastrophe Living by John Kabat-Zinn is it's a pretty thick book, but that one explains it quite well and gives you exercises to do. He also has a simpler one. I haven't read it, called Mindfulness for Beginners.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So that's a more simple, digestible. I haven't read it though, so I don't know if it's good, but it's by the same author. It's just a little more easy to digest. I think.
Like a little simplified, I guess you can say.
And then, seeking out and finding teachers in the community, like there's someone who runs a mindfulness group or something, right? Like, and everyone's got their own spin on these things too. So
of course,
just being wary of, sometimes people spin them in certain ways that may or may not be helpful for you, right?
100%.
If you find it helpful, use it. If not, just don't.
I've seen a lot of that.
Yeah.
Or like they're only doing the group so they can funnel people to like their coaching program where people pay, blah, blah, blah.
Like ulterior motive or something. Yeah. It's a marketing thing. Yeah. It's not just the group for itself. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Got to watch out for stuff like that. So like in your work, what do you do the most of? Like you say you deal with trauma, right?
Yeah. Most commonly depression and anxiety.
Yeah.
Anxiety disorders are the most common diagnosis, like in terms of psychiatric diagnosis.
Okay.
Depression and mood disorders would be second, I guess. But I mean, people are dealing with different forms of struggles of being human in this world.
True.
And suffering. That's kind of the level I usually start with. It's just a very humanistic, broad perspective. And then I try to zero in on like, in what ballpark are we manifesting our suffering today? Or like, how is it showing up in this person's life?
True.
What are they not seeing? What are they not paying attention to? Can we bring some awareness there?
Yeah.
So
have you seen a spike in it at all? In like anxiety and like people coming in with that and depression?
I haven't been in the field long enough to say that, but I would be doubtful if like the overall rates have changed in recent years. It may be more that it's more talked about now and stuff like that. Like there's a lot more anti-stigma campaigns. Like when we were in high school, no one talked about mental health. There was like, don't do drugs, don't drink and drive, wear a condom. And that's pretty much all we learn in terms of health, right? And like physical health is, no one talked about mental health. Meanwhile, like, of course, like most people who get diagnosed with a psychiatric disorder will have that happen before they're 25. So 75%.
Wow.
And like 50% is by the time they're like 15. So
Really?
if you're not talking about it early on, you should be. And now they're starting to, right?
Man, that's crazy.
But then, I mean, the pendulum can swing the other way to like, everyone's like, I'm depressed, I'm anxious, we're all messed up. And it's like, no, like the rates probably haven't changed that much, I don't think, but it's being more talked about now.
Yeah, that is true.
And most people like who are suffering just suffer on their own for a very long time and don't seek help for a number of reasons.
Yeah.
Until it gets so severe that they kind of have to.
Yeah, I had that. Well, I was diagnosed with depression when I was like 10 years old, I think, around 9 or 10 years old.
Like you got like formally assessed and diagnosed at 10.
Yeah, because they could really tell that something was wrong. But like I had a lot of stuff going on. Like my dad was gone. I was assaulted by like this random guy, and like there's just so many things that happened, like abandonment.
So you probably had good reasons to be feeling depressed.
Yeah, exactly. And so like they realized I was depressed, but like by the time I was like 12, I was already like self-medicating because I was smoking weed constantly.
Yeah, I started like 13, 14 with drinking and weed soon after. That was the same thing, depressed and self-medicating.
Yeah, exactly. And that went on until I was like 20 at least, before I started realizing like, oh, like I can't be like this forever. Doesn't feel good. And then I slowly got help, and then I actually saw, I think the person was a psychiatrist. He's a psychiatrist, I believe. I saw him for a while. But then, like, as you were talking, I'm like, man, I just disappeared on that guy. I should tell that guy how I'm doing. Like, I should call him up and be like, hey, man, I'm doing good. If he even remembers. I mean, it was a few years ago.
Yeah. I mean, they see so many people, especially psychiatrists. It's like every day you're doing assessments over and over, seeing new people. But
yeah,
sure, it wouldn't be like unwelcome.
Yeah, right.
Like, hey, I'm doing well. That's nice to hear. Because mostly, like, working in that field, you don't hear back. You're like, you stop seeing the person and that's it.
Man, that's so weird. I couldn't handle that. I wouldn't want, like, I want to know. I'd be like, man, how's that guy doing? Like, what's he doing?
Yeah, I mean, you hope everyone's doing well, but again, it's like you could spend all day wondering.
True.
Don't know.
Yeah. I notice now, like, as I start to, like, analyze myself, I do worry about things. I worry about people a bit much, like, more than I probably should.
About other people and how they're doing and their well-being and stuff?
Yeah. Like, a lot. So maybe I should, like, pull that back a bit.
Yeah, worrying is one of those things that feels useful or productive that usually isn't. Same with ruminating about the past. Yeah. Either worrying about things or ruminating, and it's like we're trying to figure something out or prevent something from happening or whatever, but ultimately how productive is it? Usually most of it's not, right? So when it comes to like chronic thinking patterns, like, hey, I know I'm a worrier, I know it's not helpful, now what? That's where, like, I find being the mindfulness part is more important than other approaches, because to be able to notice, oh, I've just been doing that for 10 minutes is one thing, and then to say, well, do I want to keep doing this? Yeah, exactly. Or do I want to put my attention somewhere else? Right. Do I have to keep doing this? Yeah. And then you can, for me, that's been one of the biggest helpful things with mindfulness, is just to take a step back and be like, look at what I'm doing here. Do I want to keep doing this? Do I want to keep wrestling with this thing in my head, or should I not? Should I do something else? And it's training yourself to do that over and over again, because it's so easy to just get caught up and hijacked by something. Yeah. The way you put it with the train, like, that's exactly what it's like. Yeah. The worry trains are always there. You can hop on. You could worry about them right now if you want. Yeah. But you don't have to. Exactly. And it feels enticing. Like, it's like a magnetic pull sometimes. Right? It's like, yes, come back. Yeah. And why is that though? Is that because, like, we're just hardwired to, like, solve things? Or like we want to solve things? I don't know. I have no idea. Could be it feels like we're preparing ourselves, or feel like we have to, or just a habit. Who knows? I think preparing ourselves, that's actually a good point. People sometimes feel that way. If I worry about everything that could go wrong, I'll be ready for when it does. Yeah. Right? But not necessarily. Yeah. And if you're predicting, like, a particular outcome and you're actively mentally rehearsing how you deal with it, and that outcome is a very real possibility, that could be helpful, right? But mostly, like, we're not worrying about stuff we could do anything about. Yeah. What if this person gets sick? What if they don't like me? What if this interview, I prepared everything, but what if it still goes bad? What if I don't get the job? What if I get cancer?
Yeah.
Like, what's in your control there, right?
Yeah.
How much you prepare for the interview, maybe.
Mm.
What kind of diet and exercise you do on a regular basis.
Mm.
Other people, though, like, think about how hard it is to control ourselves and our own lives. You think you're going to control someone else?
Yeah.
And that's the thing I keep in mind doing therapy is like, I influence the person as much as I do while they're here.
Yeah.
And that's it.
And
I have no more control. And ultimately it's their life, and it's up to them what they do with it and whether they incorporate anything that makes a difference here, right? So I have a sphere of influence.
yeah.
It's a small sphere, it could be significant. But after that, like, you walk out the door,
What can you do?
right? And that's the same with everyone in our lives, really. And like, if they're people that matter to us and we care about, the idea of something bad happening to them or losing them is probably terrifying.
Yes.
Right. And so, but same if we think about our own lives, like the idea that you could just not wake up or something horrible could happen. Like, that's scary too. And we don't like to think about that. We want to, a lot of anxiety is trying to like figure out something so it doesn't happen. But some of these things are just like realities, right?
Yeah, exactly.
There's a book about that.
Really?
By Irv Yalom called Staring at the Sun. It's about death anxiety.
You know what? You've said so many. I should actually probably write one of these things down.
He's very like existentialist focused, which is why I like him. Same with Viktor Frankl, Man's Search for Meaning. That's an very existentialist focused book. But there's like certain universal facts of being human that everyone's dealing with, whether they acknowledge them or not. And one of them is mortality.
Yeah.
You're going to die. And when that's going to be, I don't know. But that's not, for most people, that's not a pleasant thought. Unless your life is absolute hell and you welcome it.
Mm-hmm.
But for most people, we don't want to just not be here. You want to keep going.
Definitely.
And other people are going to die. Well, that too. It's very sad.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
one of those kind of existential facts he talks about.
What was that book called?
Staring at the Sun.
Oh, okay. Staring at the Sun.
And then the other one along those lines is Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl.
I've heard so many people talk about that.
Yeah, he was a psychoanalyst he's a concentration camp survivor in the Holocaust.
Yeah.
So he lived through the camps.
And the torturous stuff they were like doing to him.
Yeah. But then what he learned out of that on the other side
Yeah.
is kind of what he writes about.
Yeah, definitely. Crazy. That's nuts. That's definitely putting sprinkles on definitely did something good with that.
Yeah, his whole idea is about like you can make meaning out of your suffering and you get to choose what that meaning is.
Yeah, and you know what? I've been listening to a lot of Jordan Peterson and reading a lot of his work, and he kind of touches on that as well. He
likes the existentialist stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I actually had him as a prof for a couple courses
Really?
in undergrad. Yeah.
Holy fuck.
He's an interesting fellow.
Yeah, definitely.
Like, some of the stuff he says is really insightful, and some of it is just like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like I find some of his political views a bit odd, but I understand why what he's saying and stuff. But
yeah,
other things like he studied like a lot of like Carl Jung and stuff. And he has some really good insights into that kind of stuff.
Definitely.
So some of it is like, I don't know. I got mixed feelings about him.
Really? I think I would have mixed feelings about him if I like delved into any of his political views. I just don't. I just stay away from all of it. Like, I just stay at the stuff where he talks about like being a better man and like.
Yeah, that stuff like is practical advice, right?
Yeah.
Like some of that stuff is like practical behavioral kind of stuff. If you change this on a routine basis, you're probably going to feel better and your life's going to be better, and that makes perfect sense.
Yeah, exactly. Right? I like that stuff a lot. That's what I'm trying to stay towards. Like, I even did one of his personality tests, and there's like a part where he talks about like how like every part of it, it'll be like you're very open, and then like politically conservative people are like this, or liberal people, and that stuff I'll just ignore that stuff. But I'll just
well, that's probably like the big 5 personality traits.
Mm-hmm.
So openness, agreeableness, neuroticism or emotional instability, introversion, extroversion, and conscientiousness, I think is the last one. Yeah.
Wow.
And those are the ones that are like, of all the personality tests, the most like scientifically like verified Like there's all kinds out there, but these are the ones that are seen to be like stable traits over time
Yeah.
that are hard to change. That's why
True.
they're said to be part of personality, whereas other ones are much more like self-serving.
Mm.
Like I love the Myers-Briggs personality test because it's very nice and like makes you feel good about yourself because you get to view yourself in a certain way, and like,
Really?
but it's not very valid over time. Like I've done it
Okay.
over the years and it's changed a few times because it's based on like Jungian archetypes and it's not empirically validated and all that kind of stuff. So
True.
anyway,
What is that test?
which
Like, you can just take that test? How do you take that test?
the Big Five personality
No.
or
one
the
you just-
Myers-Briggs?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can find it online for free.
Yeah?
Yeah, it's
Cool.
very simple to do.
I'll try and take that one. Feel good about myself for a little
Yeah.
while.
It gives you like validation for like views you have of yourself, of like things that are unique about you and good about you and strengths. But
Yeah.
also, it's like a much more sophisticated horoscope. So horoscopes are just like could apply anything to anyone. This
Of
is
course.
much more tailored to you
Okay.
because you're the one in the questions, the way you answer them are tailoring it to you.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So it's cool. I like it, but it's not like in terms of objective, like reliable and valid personality tests. It's not one of them.
No.
Not as much, no.
True.
From what I understand, anyway.
Yeah. I'll look into that one too.
Yeah.
But yeah. That was nuts. Which classes did you have that Jordan Peterson was your prof?
One was a personality one where I learned a lot about the Big Five.
Okay.
So that was a personality and its transformations, and then his Maps of Meaning course, which is like he
Oh,
wrote a
really?
book called Maps of Meaning. And
Yeah.
he watched like Disney movies, and then you look at the themes and archetypes and meaning, and like he
Yeah.
brings in all like the religious stuff, and like it's very interesting and one of the more stimulating or thought provoking lecturers I've had.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard some of that stuff, like about Pinocchio and like,
Yeah, we watched Pinocchio.
Did you?
Yeah.
You have to like watch full films and then
Well, we watch it in class and then we talk about it and
Wow.
like themes that come out of it and like what you can learn
Jeez.
from it, and some of it's very sound, insightful interpretation, right?
Really?
Yeah.
Man, I couldn't
Like
imagine
this,
doing
like I just remember one part. It's like, you know how he becomes a donkey at one point in the movie?
that. Pinocchio.
Yeah, like he goes with like he's with all these like kids and he gets ranged up and then he becomes a donkey, and it's basically the message is like, well, if you do things outside of your values and character and like contrary to it, you will become an ass. And it's like, yeah, it's true. If you act contrary to what you really value and believe and what matters to you and who you are as a person, you're gonna develop all kinds of problems from that.
Yeah.
And that happens. I've done that. I've lived that.
Yeah, definitely. Me too.
Yeah.
True.
And on the contrary, if you live more in line with what you value and believe and, you know, what makes some kind of positive impact for you and people around you, if that's what you value, you're probably going to feel very different and be a different kind of person
Yeah.
over time.
Become a real boy.
Exactly. That's what it's about. It's about him becoming a real boy.
Wow.
Yeah. So,
that's really cool.
yeah.
True. So like with what you're doing now in terms of the psychotherapy stuff, like where do you want to take it? Like, do you want to just keep what you're doing? Do you want to like form your own practice, or do you have your own practice?
I have my
already?
own practice, so I do that already.
Yeah.
It's something that I think as I get older, I'd like to make that grow and become more of what I do
Mm-hmm.
with more of my time,
Yeah.
private practice, because I just love it. In terms of where I'm working now, I work for the Burlington Family Health Team in Burlington,
Yeah.
and it's they got funding for a community-based program so that basically all the physicians in Burlington can refer their patients to us, and then we do mostly group-based psychotherapy, teaching
Wow.
cognitive behavioral therapy and mindfulness skills and basic regulation skills and stuff like that. And it's really cool because it's an idea that, like, mostly, like, if you've gone through the mental health system, you can wait months, even years to get, you know, any kind of in front of somebody and get the kind of support you need, whether, especially if it's like therapy. Like, if you want medication, you can get that pretty quickly from your doctor,
Yeah.
assuming you can afford it and all that kind of stuff, right?
Of
But if you
course.
want therapy, like, it's like if you're part of a team that has that available, you can get it pretty quickly.
Yeah.
But if not, it's like you can pay for it or you can wait many months or forever. So
Wow.
this program is trying to address that issue by working more collaboratively with the outpatient services at the hospital there, Joseph
Mhm.
Brant, so that we can let's get people access to the service they need as quickly as possible. And that's part of the reason we're doing group based, because if I want to teach basic CBT skills, I can do that just as easily with you as I can with 12 people.
True.
Maybe not as, I shouldn't say as easily, but it's in the same amount of time it would take me. Right.
Yeah.
So that's what we're doing.
That's amazing.
And it's hoped to be that if, assuming this is successful and it's helping people, it'll be a model that gets rolled out across the province. So that,
really?
Yeah. So that, the status quo changes, so that if you need help with depression and anxiety and things like that, you can get it within a matter of a couple of weeks or months, not a matter of years,
Yeah. I was actually going to ask you how people get access to it, and you just touched on it there. That's crazy.
Yeah. So what we're doing, we're a new program and just getting the word out now. Most people don't know we exist. Even the docs, like getting them to know we exist and like refer people is going to take some time, because they're used to doing things a certain way, and the perception of what's been available and what hasn't. Yeah. You've got, just basic lack of awareness, not knowing how to navigate systems, stigma, like all kinds of reasons why it's going to take some time to build up. But
true.
I feel excited about that, because it's being part of hopefully a bigger systemic change that's going to make things better for people on the whole.
Definitely.
So in terms of like where I see my own career going, I'm going to stick with that, assuming it continues to go well and grow. I'm going to keep doing that and take that to whatever level it goes to, and who knows from there.
Wow. That's really cool.
Yeah.
That's really, really cool.
So I know when I was like seeking help, I could get access to a psychiatrist. And I was lucky that I had one who actually would see me for more than just, here's a diagnosis and medication. I could talk to him. But in terms of access to like structured or like evidence-based psychotherapies, like you have to pay out of pocket. Like there was nothing readily available.
Nothing. Yeah, I remember that as well.
Yeah.
Because that's actually what I wanted to gravitate towards when I was in my like issues with my mental health and everything.
And the only reason I got quick access to the psychiatrist I did was because I was admitted to a hospital. So, if you're like on that, you end up on that urgent acute side of things, you get services faster. But what about like most people who are just out there suffering and not going to show up in an ER? Like, what do they do? Yeah. Did they even have anything available? Right.
Yeah. Yeah. I wanted to get to that point. I wanted to get admitted somewhere. And I just like I couldn't, like my situation wasn't bad enough.
Yeah, you weren't sick enough. Like you weren't about to kill yourself, so they wouldn't admit you, basically.
Yeah, exactly.
So there's been the system has been very flawed in that way. So, what if you're like in acute distress, but you're not at a risk of harm? Yeah, they're not going to admit you. So they started another program at Joseph Brand Hospital called the FAST program. Don't remember what it stands for, but it's basically people in that phase of acute, like they could deteriorate quite quickly, but they're not there yet. So let's give them intensive support on an outpatient basis. Yeah. So that's pretty cool, because that kind of program doesn't exist most places. True. And that's what we need. We need all the in between. We don't just need you're like well, or you're like about like to lose your mind or want to kill yourself, right? Yeah. So for people who can afford it, you could go see someone tomorrow if you can pay out of pocket. See someone in private practice. Of course. What if you can't? It's very expensive. Most people can't afford it. Definitely. And if you have benefits, they may only cover a couple of sessions. Exactly. Yeah, I was for me it was definitely a big struggle, because I was like, what do I have to do? Yeah. Like, how bad do I have to be? How do I convince you I need the help? Like, your suffering could be up here, but the acuteness in terms of risk is down here. So get a referral and wait as long as you wait. But as soon as the risk gets up here, even if your suffering is here, well, you'd assume the suffering matches risk, but not always. Then they're going to, but even then, it's like you get hospitalized. You may get fast-tracked for certain things. Yeah. But you may not. You may just get hospitalized and stabilized and discharged. Yeah, it was hard. I was going through, like, I couldn't work. I couldn't do anything. I couldn't like provide for myself. It was really bad at one point. I think I had to go on Ontario Works at one point. I had to be, like, on welfare or whatever. And like, it was definitely a traumatic time. And I was considering like going on ODSP, because I was like, I don't know if I'm ever going to be able to like, and when people fall through the cracks like that and end up on ODSP, and then they believe this is all I can do, even if they're capable of more, that costs the system way more than if you actually gave them the help they needed when they needed it. Exactly. You could, like, if you had gotten the intervention you needed at that time in a timely way, you might have been on your way a lot quicker. Yeah. Would have saved you a lot of pain and suffering, most importantly, but also look at like systemically, ton of money.
Yeah.
that potentially would later have to be invested, right?
Yeah, definitely.
So there's a lot of short-sightedness from, I mean, our political system is
Yeah.
4-year cycles, right?
Definitely.
So everyone's like, what can I do in 4 years? But to make the kind of change we really need to make, you got to look at decades, right?
Definitely.
So I'm maybe naively optimistic that what we're doing in Burlington is going to be part of that broader change.
Well, I mean,
But
you have to do the things and like show, I guess, whoever has to see it that it is possible,
Right.
before it actually does. So that's
Yeah.
amazing. that you
yeah,
guys are
so we
doing
have to
that.
be evidence generating as well.
Yeah, that's really cool, man. Because that could really help some people.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't have easy access to that
Yeah,
when I was a teenager and going through that shit. So
yeah. I couldn't go to rehab or anything.
Yeah.
I wanted to, and they're like,
you weren't on hard enough drugs, or
Yeah.
yeah.
yeah, that's what it was. I was like, but I'm like, I have physical withdrawals, and they're like, yeah, no, we don't.
They're like, because the rehabs or the detoxes are filled with people coming off of heroin and crack and
yeah.
meth and alcohol, and those could all, they're more severe physically, but
Yeah.
it doesn't mean you're less addicted because you're addicted to marijuana or to something else, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So
Speaking of that, what do you think of October 17th?
the
Yeah.
legalization,
Yeah.
I think it makes sense. Like,
Mm-hmm.
why would you not? Like, why? Like, all the arguments I've heard against it don't hold up to me.
Okay. True.
I mean, one, it's just hypocritical that you have alcohol legalized and regulated when marijuana isn't, considering alcohol is on the whole a lot more harmful for society and for people than marijuana is as a starting point.
Yeah, definitely.
Secondly, you have to reset those again.
Yeah, go ahead though.
Secondly, criminalizing drugs does not curb the rate of drug use.
Yeah.
When it was illegal when you and I were in high school, we had no trouble getting high every day.
No.
None whatsoever.
Every day.
In fact, everyone sold weed. I sold weed at one point. Everyone had weed. You just had to go in the middle of the atrium and be like, I need some weed, and somebody would probably come running out to you, right? Like,
Yeah.
it was that easy. So, criminalizing, I mean, most, like, certain drugs shouldn't be readily available, but like criminalizing weed doesn't curb use.
Yeah.
And it probably makes it, it can artificially give people like criminal records for something that they shouldn't be criminalized for. So that's another thing.
Yeah.
You're like, why are you going to give someone a record for getting high? Like, are they like, did they murder someone while they were doing it? Did they rob a bank, or did they just get high? Because if you're going to criminalize someone for that, that's insane. And now you've put them on a path that makes their life harder.
Exactly.
Like, why would you do that?
Like, you've put a stigma on them.
Yeah, like if there was any evidence that criminalizing drugs curbed the rate of use and decreased harm, it would make sense. But all the evidence says the contrary.
Mm.
It actually increases the harm to people in society and costs, and it doesn't curb the rate of use.
Yeah, it wouldn't. No.
So why wouldn't you tax it and regulate it and then put that money into actually like educating the public about it?
Yeah.
Like, they're starting to a little more now because they have to.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, for some young people, this can be very harmful if they use it regularly.
Mm-hmm.
And if you have a predisposition to schizophrenia or psychosis, this could or bipolar, this could trigger an episode, right? Like, people should know that. But if you're hiding and afraid of getting caught, you're not going to talk to anyone about it, or
Exactly.
they're not going to talk to you about it, right?
100%.
And so, I mean, this would turn into a whole separate tirade, but just look at the war on drugs in the U.S. and in Mexico and how many people it's killed. And has it actually changed anything? No.
100%,
All you've done is cost a lot of people their lives.
Yeah.
Now, Mexico is even considering legalizing or decriminalizing it.
Really?
Yeah, because
That'd
it's
be
killed
great.
500,000 people.
Really?
The war on
Yeah,
drugs.
just the trade of it all and everything. Yeah.
Yeah. Portugal years ago decriminalized personal possession of all substances.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So you will not be criminally charged if you're found with heroin in your pocket. You may be taken and like forced to go to some kind of treatment. I don't know what they do,
Yeah.
but you're not going to be criminally charged.
Wow, that's great.
You're not going to look at someone and be like, you're a bad person because you're using drugs.
Mm-hmm.
It just builds all this stigma, right? And
Yeah.
it actually makes people less likely to seek help and more likely to die of complications that,
True.
so it's mostly people's fear and, certain beliefs and values about drugs and what kind of people use them and this and that.
Yeah.
Till it's a really insightful movie on that what's it called? Was it Traffic?
Possibly.
Michael Douglas, I want to say. I don't know who was in it.
I know traffic. I feel like traffic. No.
Was it?
I can't.
It might have been traffic, but anyways.
So like the different colors.
Yeah. Yellow and blue
traffic.
for different. Yeah. So the guy is he's like a legislator or something for the like war on drugs, and then his daughter's addicted to like like crack or something, and that shows that like it just doesn't work. Yeah. And it's so hypocritical and stupid, right?
It's crazy.
So that's my long-winded answer to how I feel about it. I think it's on the whole a good thing. They should have done it years ago. It's tax revenue. It's controlling it a little bit more, right?
Yeah.
I don't know about the way they're going about it and how they're doing it, and wanting to have a monopoly on it. I mean, whatever. I don't really care that much because I don't actively smoke weed. So
that's my thing too.
The principle of decriminalizing it makes perfect sense to me.
Yeah, I'm kind of glad they did it, and I'm just happier that anybody who is like in our situation will be able to talk about it a little more freely, like as they're doing it instead of like even about it.
I was drinking and smoking since I was 14, but I felt like I needed to hide the weed more because it was illegal and like
100%.
But why?
100%. Yeah, I felt that way too.
Yeah,
it was a weird thing, man, especially back then. It got to the point where I was like on the verge of dropping out of high school, and I was like, I would go to school just to get weed.
Yeah,
like that's where I would go.
Exactly.
It was like the easiest place.
Yeah,
it's so funny. It's in the lockers, everybody's pockets.
I'm pretty sure you and I smoked in class a few times.
Yeah, that was with you.
We were not smart.
Wow.
In the back of careers.
Oh my God. Yeah, with Miss Weismiller.
That was her name. She booked us. I'm pretty sure she knew. And then we got called into I think I got suspended. Yeah, I got suspended because they found like
you had a
pen pipe.
Yeah, you had the pipe.
Oh my God, we were not smart, but that was funny.
You made it out of a pen, and then we were trying to like ghost the hits.
Blew it in like my jacket to absorb the smoke.
The jackets, and then like I would spray like cologne.
I remember that.
Just spraying cologne in the air as we were like letting it out.
Oh man.
Wow. I completely forgot about that.
We were like 15, yeah.
Yeah, and then I forget what his name was, but like the vice principal came, and they called you, and then you
Super Mario.
Yeah.
He looked like Super Mario. I forget his name now.
I can't remember it.
Yeah, it was. Can't believe he suspended me for like resin on a pipe. Like you can't even book someone for that.
Man,
I remember he pulled me off. He goes, "I know what this is. This is a bong." I'm like, "It's not a bong. It's a pen." You didn't even call it the right thing. Anyway,
man, that was a time. I remember that.
Yeah,
Miss Weismiller. Jeez,
she was wise.
What a useless
wise to
class.
What we were doing. Careers, yeah. What color are you?
Yeah.
You know what's really funny? I just did what's it called? We did like a professional development day at my work, and they used the colors thing again.
Oh, really?
It brought me right back to careers class.
Man, that was something. I think it was like me, you, and Dre. I think Dre was in our class too, and he was like taking some hits.
Really? I didn't think Dre smoked back then. Maybe.
Or no, yeah, I don't think.
I think it was just you and me. Then. There was drinking involved too, and he might have partaken in that.
Yes, that's what it was. I remember that. I remember there was a time where I was like drunk by like 10 a.m. in high school. So crazy. Yeah,
lunchtime. I think Fridays were like lunchtime drinking days. There was definitely a large minority of us that were heavy weed and alcohol users in high school. And I thought that was like everyone, but really it was not everyone. It was like our group of friends. I don't think everyone was. There's probably most people that weren't.
Yeah.
But it seemed so normal.
Yeah.
Like, this is what you do. There's like here's this like 20 or 30 of us that all do that. So it's like,
and we were like,
but there was probably a bunch of really normal kids in school that we didn't even talk to.
Well, yeah, I mean that's the reason that we got caught in class, because the normal kids were like, "What the fuck are they doing?"
They didn't appreciate us being idiots.
They were like, "This is crazy. I'm not putting up with this."
Yeah, probably.
Because Miss Weismiller didn't know.
No, somebody knew.
She's like, "What's going on?" It was one of the students. They were like, "This is bullshit. I'm not doing this anymore."
They were actually trying to learn stuff.
Yeah.
We were being those.
They were like, "I got a contact high yesterday, and I'm upset about it."
They're probably more annoyed with the amount of cologne being sprayed around the room, because that was, we just thought it was funny, but for them it was probably disgusting.
That's so true.
Yeah.
Sorry if you were in that class.
Yeah, to everyone in grade 10, Miss Weismiller's careers class.
Yeah. Apologies.
We've grown. We've grown a little bit.
Man, But even then, I wish there was somebody who would be like, rather than like suspending you or like looking for somebody to punish, they were like, hey, why are you guys doing that? Like,
actually talk to you about it.
That you find it like you couldn't even wait to leave the class.
Yeah.
What's
like,
going on
that
with
should
you?
tell you something. Like,
yeah.
This is
like,
yeah.
you guys have a problem. Like, I wish there was somebody.
Yeah, at least someone, or like, that's where I think having like someone like a peer support could be really helpful. Someone who's kind of gone that road before and been like, yeah, I was like you in high school.
Yeah.
This is where it led me. Just like, do you want to talk about it?
Yeah.
You know, rather than trying to impose, because if you're trying to impose it, like you shut down, not going to say anything, right? Unless you really want the help. At that point, I didn't want any help.
Of course.
I was living my best life.
Yeah.
I was like,
that's what it felt like, right?
Like I'm living the dream right now, man.
Yeah.
Really, I'm just like running away from reality as fast as I can. But
exactly,
that was what I wanted to do with that, or what I thought I wanted to do.
Yeah.
So I think now it's hopefully that's shifting, that they actually like try to talk to students about shit instead of just be like, you're suspended.
Yeah. Because then it's like, you're suspended. Go home and smoke weed.
Yeah. go home and be alone and not learn. Like, suspending people for disrupting class and stuff you're almost rewarding it.
Yeah, exactly.
Other than the parents being upset at you, but assuming they are. But then it's a lot of stuff that just is done as like default that doesn't make a lot of sense.
Yeah, that's what I noticed too. That's why, like, I actually, I have to, like, I'm not sure how to go about it. I'm actually going to learn soon, but I want to be like a big brother. Because I had one and it was a really, really great experience for me.
Mm-hmm.
But they left, and that was like part of like my abandonment issues that I like developed. But like, I'd like to be there for somebody that's like in that situation.
Yeah, you could be a big brother.
Yeah, I'm gonna do that soon. I just don't know what kind of like situation you have to be in, or like, you know, what kind of standing you have to be in as a person to do it. But I just gotta, just like the comedy, you just gotta do it. See where
you don't know till you go and apply and figure that out, right?
Yeah, exactly.
It's always unknown until we
step
investigate and start doing it, right?
Yeah. Man, that's such a trip that you brought that up.
It came in my mind before I came here because
really,
it was like one of my first memories. I'm like, I haven't seen Colin in so long. Remember? Oh yeah, we used to do
that. So bad. My mom never even heard about that.
Well, did she watch your podcast?
Does she ever ear to the floor?
Does she tune in?
Yeah, I'm sure she does. Or I'm sure she will, at least, if I tell her to.
Watch, but don't watch these couple minutes.
Yeah, right.
She'd probably just shake her head at this point.
Yeah.
Like, what are you going to do? Get mad at you for something you did?
Man, I mean, before that,
15 years ago.
She caught me smoking in my room when I was like 12, 13 with Fatty and fucking Eric Maman.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we were smoking. I thought it was like
we're like ratting on all these people from their teenage years. But yeah, I doubt that's gonna cause any negative impact.
He did it. No, it was well, they don't know who Fatty is, right? But anybody who knows Fatty knows Fatty. But yeah, we were smoking in my room, and I thought it was like such a smart idea because I wanted to smoke so bad. I'm like, yeah, 2-3 papers in my room. Yeah,
that won't smell.
Nobody will know. Just put a towel at the door. Man, my mom kicked the shit out of me. It was crazy.
She was pissed, eh?
Oh, yeah. I just remember her. I remember being so high, and she was just like...
She was like actually wailing on you.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God.
And all I hear is like footsteps storming down the stairs. It's like
them running out.
And Eric, running out of the house. Yeah.
I had a similar experience, but my mom didn't. She didn't beat me. She just took my bong and yelled at me, and then I ran away.
Really?
Yeah.
Jeez. It's crazy. It's crazy what kids go through. And then directly after that, she was like, because we did laundry at a laundromat, because we didn't have a washer or dryer, and she just brought me to the laundromat, and we did laundry, and I was so high, I couldn't do anything. I was like, oh. I was sitting outside. I'm like, I can't do this. It was so bad. So crazy to think about that. Like, I interviewed a high performance coach, this guy Oliver, and he was talking about, like, because I was telling him I want to like change careers, like, well, like I want to shift away from what I'm doing now to like different stuff. And he's like, you have to think, he's like, was there a time where you like didn't know anything about what you do now? And he's like, just think back to that and like now move ahead with that same mentality, because like you can learn something completely different and become something completely different. It's just a trip to think about how different things were back then, and like you have no idea what you want to do, and then all of a sudden it's like you get the ball rolling, or you don't get the ball rolling, and
the ball rolls
happen.
you.
Yeah, yeah.
You get carried away with it.
Yeah, it's crazy to see how things change. Look at you. You're a full-grown adult now.
I'm a grown man.
I'm almost there. I'm getting close.
You're a grown man.
Yeah. Getting there. I'm reaching for it. I just want to get more stable. I want to get more stable.
Like career-wise?
Yeah. Well, yeah, financially, right? Like,
Yeah.
I still have so many debts to pay and things that I'm dealing with financially that, like, that's what's, like, holding me back. And I just want to, like, get life started. I want to marry my girlfriend and just start my life.
What are you doing now, like, work-wise?
Work-wise, I do videography.
Okay.
Right? But like a videographer's life is always like, especially when you're starting out.
It's freelance, right?
Yeah. It's like always feast and famine, right? Like you can make something one day and not make anything the next. And
yeah. I mean,
so that's why I'm gravitating towards like doing the PA work and stuff, getting on movie sets and stuff.
Yeah. Like production work. And
yeah I want to get into that.
Yeah. I mean, there's definitely like there are viable career paths in that. Like I told you, my fiance's cousin is a videographer.
Yeah.
He does. He does the gigs. He's got like some representation now.
Yeah.
You just gotta grind away at it, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. It's tough. But and there's a lot of free stuff that has to happen in order to like build portfolio and get your name out there. So like I've been doing a lot of free work. So
yeah. Like for other artists or like for...
No, it'll be like my friend wants to get into video. He's like a photographer. So like I just shot a commercial for him for free. And now we're going to like use that as like an advertisement that he's going to like push and try and get clients and like convert some of his existing clients. And
that could turn into clients for you too?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So then it's investment in yourself.
Exactly.
If it's just for someone else and you get no after benefit other than a credit,
yeah,
then you should probably charge for it. But if it's going to be something like, even if you're charging not a lot, it's just assigning like some value to your work.
Definitely. No, you're right.
But if it's something like that, that's more of an advertisement for you too, right?
Yeah, exactly. I guess I should call it more opportunity than I should say free work. I'm like giving like opportunities to like grow in different spaces.
Yeah, if there's some real potential payoff.
Yeah.
Then you can look at it as an expense.
Yeah. True. What about you in terms of music? What do you do? Like, have you ever considered like producing or anything like that, or you just keep it straight to the bars?
Bars. No, I don't have the patience or natural talent for production.
True.
Like it would be the kind of thing like you have to have the technical expertise, but also just like the ear for it and stuff like that. And I'm like, the reason I got into rapping is because naturally I was like language and written word and that kind of stuff came naturally to me. And then out of the the rapping and stuff just evolved and writing poetry and turned into rhymes, that kind of thing. So because there was some like baseline talent or ease of doing it, that's why I went with it.
True.
Whereas production is like a whole different beast, I feel, for me. That would
definitely,
maybe I'll get into it one day, but I just don't have like, you really got to dedicate yourself to a craft, right?
It's true.
And to put the time into it and learn all the skills and
very true.
Patience. And so I've been blessed to work just with other producers.
Which is always good.
Yeah. And they're like people who have put that time in and it shows. So if I can do that and then focus just on what I'm writing and the rapping, then I'll do a better job of that. Like I know there's people who do both and they do both very well. I'm just more of the verbal side of things and the spoken word side of things. So yeah. So, and I've put out, as you know, like a bunch of different projects, EPs, album stuff, some videos, all kinds of like some singles. So I've done all that. Now I'm really focusing on like I said before, combining the music with the mental health and psychotherapy type stuff. So really trying to fuse the worlds together, because I feel like although mental health issues and addiction and stuff have been talked about in certain songs and like is becoming like, there are some more mainstream songs like that.
Of course.
It's still kind of taboo, and it's still, I don't know if it's been meaningfully addressed in the sense of like, it's like you can say, yeah, I deal with depression or this and that, but like go in depth and like, what is that whole experience like? Can you paint a picture of that? Or like, can you talk about some of the struggles that have led you and could lead a listener to some insight or some way out of it, right? That's what I hope more. It's maybe a bit idealistic, but
that would be good.
That's what my new EP is going to be. It's called Wounded Healer.
Yeah.
And that's actually a term that comes from Carl Jung, who from before that came from some Greek mythology. But basically the idea that we're all, you know, I'm someone helping other people, but I'm still a human being and I've got my own scars and wounds, right? And
yes,
you know, I remember I said that there's this quote by Carl Jung. He said, I don't want to butcher it. He said, the physician is effective only when he himself is affected. Only the wounded physician heals, or something like that.
100%.
And then I think I said that to a psychiatrist I had when I was a teenager, and he said, he just thought about it. He said, yeah, well, we're all wounded because we're all human.
Mm-hmm.
And that kind of stuck with me as like, yeah, that makes sense. There is this inherent woundedness or trauma of being human. Like no one makes it throughout their life without
unscathed.
No one makes it unscathed, right? Some people have a much shittier hand than others and have way more wounds, but everyone has some inherent thing, right?
Definitely.
And most people can identify with that. So that's the whole wounded healer idea that I'm now out there trying to help people. And in doing so, it's an extension of help I've received. And, you know, it helps me now to be doing that. It's fulfilling and all that kind of thing. So, yeah, it's going to be an EP. I'm waiting to see if I get a grant for it. I applied to Ontario Arts Council for a grant to pay for the recording and mixing and mastering, because most of the stuff I've done out of pocket.
True.
And I feel like this one may have a better chance than some other applications because it's about mental health and that's very timely. You know, so. And
it would be really good. That's what a lot of the, I don't know what we'd call them, Generation Z, Y or whatever, like the younger generation right now, like they could definitely use that. Definitely. And they gravitate towards it. I know XXXTentacion was pretty focused on talking about his mental health and like trying to help young people through that kind of stuff. So, and they absolutely loved it.
Yeah. I mean, people can identify. I mean, that the most mainstream song was that Logic song, the suicide hotline song.
Yes, definitely.
And that like brought so much awareness to the fact that there was a suicide hotline, and like that actually brought the numbers of people calling way up.
Yeah. So
that made a difference, right?
Definitely.
So I mean, one thing is to make like a really good project and record it, and then the other thing is like to actually get it out there. That's always actually the harder part, is to get people to hear it.
Yo, that's a good thing, man. I want to make a music video. I always wanted to direct a music video, so let me know if you want to make one.
Okay. Yeah, there's definitely gonna be some songs on this that I could see being good for a video.
Definitely. I always think of music videos. I actually have to talk to somebody who wants a music video done. I always think of it like of a short film.
Mm-hmm.
Like I like just make it like short and impactful, and like I always think of like either having the artist in it as an actor in the short film, or like not having them in it, and like making it like this really impactful little piece of art. You know?
Yeah, if I do a video, I want it to be something like that, because I've done videos. It's just like, here, I'm the rapper rapping, and that's my video. You know, and
exactly.
It's like, okay, that's cool, but like, yeah, to have something a little more meaningful or story behind it. That's what I like to gravitate towards. I'll let you know if I get the grant.
Let's do it,
and then see what happens from there.
I'll do that for free. I'd love to do that. I've always wanted to make a music video. That's the first thing that made me want to like pick up a camera, is like the documentaries and music videos. I was like, I always wanted to do that Director X stuff, and direct different music videos and stuff.
Well, if I get the grant, you'll get paid something if we end up doing it. Because
sick.
Yeah,
I'm always down. But who's your favorite artist? Hip hop artist.
I can never answer that, but I say Black Thought is up there.
Yeah,
Black Thought from the Roots. He's always been, and continues to be, just I think one of the most amazing.
Yeah, I think just last year he did like an 11-minute freestyle for Funk Flex.
Just to be like, just raise that bar. Like, everyone does their 4-minute verse. I'll go for 11 minutes straight, and it'll be sick the whole way through, and it was.
Yeah.
So
it's crazy.
But he's been doing it for 20 plus years. Like, you know,
least.
And he's one of my favorites. Like Common, I always liked.
True.
I mean, he's got some crappy albums out there, but like to be, as long as he's been doing it, like he's got a lot more high quality than not so good.
Definitely.
I mean, a lot of artists that I would name, it's like I like some of their stuff or their early stuff, and then other stuff like not as much. But like Mos Def and Talib Kweli, I was really into. Like Black Star in high school was like my favorite album.
Of course.
I mean, I like Nas, just because he sounds sick on everything he's on, even if like a lot of his
Yeah.
songs aren't the best, but like
Yeah.
he's just such a talented
It's true.
MC.
Lyricist.
In terms of like more modern-ish, newer artists, like the only one I've really ever got into in the past several years was Kendrick.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
just
Kendrick
think
is
he's brilliant,
incredible.
and
Yeah.
like his style and what he's talking about is all very
He's amazing.
yeah.
Yeah.
But I know there's a ton of other like much more talented recent artists that I'm just not a good DJ. Like I'm not good at
True.
digging and finding stuff.
Yeah.
Especially lately in my life, it's just not a priority. But those are some of my favorites that come to mind.
I like in the new school. I like XXXTentacion, even though he's passed away already.
Mm-hmm.
He died.
I never listened to him.
Yeah, he died pretty quickly. But I liked him just because he seemed like he was experimenting. He was just coming into his creativity, which is also always cool to see. I think he was going to be like the first artist like on hip hop, R&B, and like rock
Oh yeah,
billboards like at the same time.
That's
Because
cool.
he sounded a lot like, if you listen to his albums, sounds a lot like Kurt Cobain.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he does like a lot of stuff that's kind of like that. It's very weird. But then all of a sudden he'll do like a hip hop song, then he'll do something else.
So it's very flexible that way.
Yeah, it was really cool. What do you think of Lil Pump? You like Lil Pump?
I have not listened to Lil Pump. I don't know anything about almost any rapper that comes out now with the name Lil or whatever. Like I haven't even listened to them. There's just so many, and like for my view, they're all like I don't know. I've never listened to them. I just categorize like so many of them in the same category of like these like weird haired syrup drinking, drug addicted young people that I'm like I don't want to listen to that.
Yeah, he has a chain that says drug addict.
Okay, so he's in that camp.
Yeah.
Okay, so I probably wouldn't listen to him. Like I just can't. For me, hip hop, like rap music specifically, has always been like if there's no message behind it,
yeah,
I could listen to it and nod my head, but I'm not going to listen to it again.
Yeah.
If there's a message behind it and something meaningful I can get out of it, that's what always drew me to it.
Yeah.
Is that it's an extension of like that's modern day poetry is rap music, right?
Definitely.
And so if it doesn't have that, I can't listen to it over again.
Yeah, it's true.
And I'm a bit of a snob with it that way because I know there's a lot of people just like, yeah, you love the vibe and the beat, you want to dance to it, great. That's not why I listen to hip hop though.
Yeah, me neither. Especially if you're coming from this alarm's gonna go off again. Start it again. Especially if you're coming from like a place of like depression and like looking for somebody to like, guide you through or like hear some like impactful stuff, like just nodding your head and like doing the two-step is just not enough. Like it's just not.
Yeah, I mean, if there's a place for like, just party club music, zone out, get high music, like
True.
if that's what you're looking for, great. So, but it's never really been what I was into.
Yeah.
With when it comes to even rock music, like I like rock music that has some like intelligent or like creative lyrics in it too.
Something, yeah.
Yeah.
What is do you have a favorite bar or like verse?
I can't name one. When you asked that, that you ever heard Pharaoh Montra is another one of my favorites.
Yeah.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah. You for some weird reason you remind me of him. I don't know what it is. You don't look like him, but I don't know what it is. It's some energy.
Really? I feel maybe he has a space in his teeth. I feel like he does.
That could be.
Zin, 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 zin.
It could be. I don't know.
I
It's
love
something
that
about
song.
it's just like this vibe. I don't know. That's just a weird side note. But there's a song Gorilla Monsoon Rap, and it's Pharaoh Monch, Black Thought, and Talib Kweli.
Wow.
It's from like an older song, but it's so good.
True.
And I think might have been Kanye West producing it. I don't know.
Whoa.
But it's like a superstar track, right?
Yeah,
and
that's heavy.
yeah, that Black Thought verse on that. The first time I heard it, I just had to keep listening to it over and over again.
True.
Something like MC species endangered like dolphins. Rappers are spitting nails into their own coffins. Like some ridiculous shit like that. It's just yeah.
That's crazy. I was in the shower today and I was like, I think the best line in hip hop. I'm so entertained by it. I think it's Jay-Z, and it's a song. I think it's called Brooklyn.
Mm-hmm.
And I think like that's like it was so cool the way he like did it. I think he says, "I father, I Brooklyn Dodger them, I jack, I rob, I sin, amen, I'm Jackie Robertson, except when I run base, I dodge the pen. Because he used to sell heroin, dodges the pen after he hits a home run.
He's like really good with the wordplay.
Yeah.
Jay-Z. Like he puts that extra time into it to make you have to rewind it. And
yeah, I was like when I heard that, I was like, I'm like, I think that's like one of the best lines in hip hop. Like that's up there. If there's a top 10 with bars, I think he's up there. He's in that top 10. Definitely.
He's definitely got some good quotables for sure.
Yeah, that one sticks out to me the most. I was like that's perfect. Like that's what hip hop is. Makes you think. Makes you have to rewind it. You hear it again. You hear another thing. Like I only just realized when I was thinking of it in the shower. I was like, oh, he says "aw man," but he means "aw man."
Oh man, yeah. It's a double entendre.
Yeah, he's saying "I father." I was like, oh man.
Yeah, he's got some layers to his lyrics. Yeah,
it was something. I was like, wow, and he's still doing it.
Yeah, he's like one of the most successful rap moguls, if you want to call it that.
Yeah, I think he's gonna be like. Actually, I don't know how old. Well, I think KRS-One's older, but he might not be. They might be around the same age.
I think KRS is. I associate him as from like an earlier generation, but
like Jay-Z was still around, but I'm not sure. Like, I'm just wondering who's gonna be like the first 60-year-old rapper, because it's coming.
Oh yeah,
it's coming.
Yeah,
like the next 10 years.
Because a lot of them don't live that long,
right?
But I think some of them will. I hope.
No, like Jay-Z's like 47, I think. I think Eminem's like 46. So they're getting up there.
I still look at these guys as like they're like 30s.
Yeah, right?
20s, 30s.
It's so weird.
Because that's when I started listening to them. But
yeah.
They're
getting up
No,
there,
I mean,
man.
like some of them, like some of the original, like Africa Bambaataa is over 60.
True.
Like some of those guys are definitely in their 60s. Like Kool Herc is probably up there. Like those, like the kind of like founders of it.
Yeah.
Are probably getting up there. But
But to still be doing it, I guess they are still doing it too. They still have like their thing.
There's a lot of good Canadian artists. Like I learned, obviously, you actually being on the Toronto scene, you meet a lot of people and you start listening. You're like these people are like good enough caliber that they should be recognized, but of course aren't, because most people, just talent alone isn't enough.
Definitely.
And we're in Toronto and it's a shit show and crapshoot. But
yeah.
You listen to Shad at all out of London?
Shad
K.
No.
Okay, I would definitely recommend him. He's dope. I think he's one of the best in Canada.
Really?
Yeah, Shad
K.
He was very briefly the host of CBC Q.
What?
Yeah, very briefly, but it didn't. He wasn't a great host, so they replaced him. This was after the whole Jean Kameshi thing. He was a host for a little while. But he also did this documentary on Netflix called Hip Hop Evolution, and there's 2 seasons of it, and it's really well done. Like it shows you
Hip Hop Evolution.
Yeah, it shows you like the first season is like most of the New York and some of the LA type stuff, and then the second season goes into like some other regions that like Texas and like San Francisco Bay, like areas like I didn't know as much about where they came out of. But he's dope, and there's a lot of really good like Toronto artists.
I like I think his name's Adam
Baum. Yeah. He's one of the.
I downloaded his album. I thought that album was sick.
Yeah, he's dope. He was part of this crew called Empire.
Oh, really?
For a while, and then they kind of broke up, and he's also part of Freedom Writers, which everyone in that collective is dope.
True.
And also, I think he does a group, Naturally Born Strangers, which is him, Tona, and Rich Kid.
I think he had a song on his album. I know Tone was on it, definitely. I think Rich Kid might have been on it too.
Like they're all part of that same kind of.
Yeah.
They all work together, and they're all dope.
Yeah, man.
Like these guys are all
he was really good. I was like, man, how do I not?
His
know
voice
about this
itself
guy?
is just like.
Yeah, that's why.
Like it catches your attention, but then what he's like, everything, like his lyrics, his flow.
I was surprised. I was like, man, I can't believe I haven't like heard about this guy, because he's been in it for a minute.
Yeah, he's got a good song called "Canada Sucks."
Really?
It just talks about like how our entertainment scene is shit compared to the U.S. Like like well-known people here don't get any privileges. Like you just he's got a lot of good stuff.
True. Yeah, I gotta listen to more Toronto.
Yeah, there's
Canada
so much
people.
Yeah, I would definitely check out like everyone like in Freedom Writers, that collective, and each of them individually has good stuff. Theo 3, don't know if you've heard of him, but he's really dope. Tona and all those guys.
Yeah, Tona I like a lot. I think I follow him on Instagram.
I think Dre actually used to work with him years ago at some like call center job. I don't know what they were doing, but he actually told me about Tona. He's like, yo, have you heard of Tona? And this was like back before I even got serious about rapping and stuff.
Bro, Dre is somebody who could have been a great rapper.
Really?
Dre had
He raps?
really, really good bars.
He's got bars?
He used to write, like, because I used to always, like, as I was, like, falling out of, like, I didn't want to, like, be in school. Like, I would just sit in the stairwells and just, like, write all the time. And he would always come in the morning and be like, yo, I just wrote this. And, like, he would say it, and I'd be like, yo, this is fucking incredible.
I've never heard him rap.
Man, he would always do it with me. Like, every single day, he would always, like, give me a bunch of bars. I'd be like, yo, that was sick. I remember I told him, like, we would, like, do kind of, like, battle rap stuff. And, like, I remember he just had this sick bar about, like, taking the RAW off my shirt because he's raw, and I was wearing, like, a Rockaware shirt. And I was like, yo, I'm like, how did you fucking come up with that just now? Like, this is crazy. Yeah, he could have really done something, especially with his voice, because he has a very distinct voice. Little bit of a Method Man lisp to it.
Yeah.
It would have been fucking amazing, man. I've really wanted him to do it. I'm like, yo, you should rap. And he's like, yeah, whatever.
It's a very feasible career option you should consider.
Right? Yeah, very lucrative, especially at that time. There was, like, nobody at that time, really.
DMX.
Well, I mean, like, in Canada, right?
Oh,
like,
yeah.
they're like, Drake had not popped off yet.
I mean, you have, like, Maestro, Fresh West, Socrates,
Chocolare,
those guys, Chocolare, Cardinal. Those are that generation. They were kind of like more the pioneering generation.
Yeah. My buddy actually did a video shoot with Chocolare. It was, like, celebrating, like, Northern Touch had been out for, like, 20 years.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I remember
really
that,
cool.
watching that video.
Yeah, man. I love that video. I was like, yo, that's so cool.
Classic. Canadian classic.
Yeah, that is actually a Canadian classic. Like, they should play that in schools for the anthem.
Please rise for the Northern Touch.
Because it just had everybody. I think it had Red One. I think it had Socrates,
Rascals
Cardinal.
from Vancouver.
Yeah, it had. I think it had everybody in it. It was crazy.
Yeah, there was Thrust.
Yeah.
Because
it was in the chorus. Cardinal, some
Chocolare, Cardinal, and then Thrust, Rascal, Chocolare. Ain't nobody can ban me.
Yeah. I gotta download that. Wow, I don't know why. That's so disrespectful that I don't have that on my phone. I'm gonna download that. Definitely need that one. So what have you been up to? You know what? Actually, hold on. Let me do something. Yeah, both batteries are doing it. Let me do something real quick. Hold on 1 second, sir. Oh, I was gonna ask what you've been doing, just in general, in life. What's your life been like? Always have to have extra batteries.
Mm-hmm.
I have about 7.
How long have we've been going for like 2 hours now?
Is it?
Just about.
It says it there, right?
Yeah. Do you like edit them and like cut them down, take out parts that are like not as entertaining, or you just leave the whole?
No, man, I leave the whole thing. You're entertaining.
Even this part?
Yeah.
No way.
Well, maybe.
This part would be kind of boring for people.
Maybe. I mean, like, I like to just keep it real authentic and just like this was the conversation that we had.
Yeah.
And also I like that I know this is going to be more successful than it is right now. And I want people to see this part. I want people to know, like, oh yeah, he used to have like nobody helping him at all, and he used to have to do this himself. It's like when you watch Joe Rogan. Have you ever watched Joe Rogan, like episode like 3? No. It's ridiculous.
It's much more less polished than it is now.
You're like, how is this guy going to be successful? This is not going to work. And then it's like on Ustream or something like that. And then you get to look. Well, one thing I'm big on in terms of like the way I do like film. The one thing I'm biggest on is progression. I love for people to see progression in things. I think that's so vital in a world where like we keep everything so polished. Is to like show people like where the progression lies.
But I think there's also like a certain level of polishedness that will give credibility, like a baseline threshold, right? Yeah, exactly. So that, like, if you're below a threshold, then someone's gonna, if they see it, they're just gonna tune it out right away.
Perhaps,
right?
perhaps. I mean, it depends, right? Like, I don't know how people used to receive like Joe Rogan's earliest podcast. Like, I don't know how they used to look at it or watch it or anything.
Or if they did watch it.
Yeah, exactly.
But he's also someone, he's had like much success in like other entertainment areas, right? Like,
yeah, by
he
that
did,
time.
Yeah, like that show Fear Factor, and he was like one of the guys on UFC and like that kind of stuff.
No, there was a show. Well, yeah, but like there was another show.
But the point
I
is,
can't
like,
remember the
there
sitcom.
were
He was
other
on a
things.
sitcom.
There were other things that gained him some kind of fame,
Yeah.
and then people probably looked into it and was like, oh, he's got a podcast too, right?
Well, no. 'Cause
No?
back then, you didn't even know what a podcast was.
I still don't know what it is. Just kidding.
People had no real idea of like,
Yeah.
oh, this guy that I see on this show on TV, I can go to the internet
Right,
and watch
right.
him too. Like we didn't have that correlation back then. There was no like, I like that person. Let's see what they're doing on my phone.
Yeah, on
Phone-
Instagram.
Phones still had buttons.
Let's tweet this person.
Right?
Yeah.
Like phones still had buttons back when he like started this podcast.
I miss buttons.
Right?
I can feel it.
I remember distinctly when the buttons went away.
The
And
day
I
the
was-
buttons died.
Yeah, like I was like, I want a phone with like buttons. And
Now
they're
it's
like,
haptic feedback.
yeah, they're
But
like,
that doesn't let me know I'm touching the right button. It just
Yeah.
lets me know I'm touching a button.
yeah. And I was like, there's none with buttons, and like they showed me like a really shitty phone, and I was like, oh man.
There's going to be like a resurgence, like a retro, like tapes are cool now. And like, there's like everything comes retro. There's going to be like real
circle.
buttons on your phone.
Look at
Comes back.
this iPhone with buttons. Jesus.
iPhone with a headphone jack. Who would have thought?
Man, I gave right into that. I got AirPods, bro.
I never bought Apple stuff.
Really?
I've just always not been in, like, I'm
I
like,
love it.
I'm an Android man.
Really?
I had a BlackBerry first, and
Yeah,
then that
of
went to
course.
shit.
Yeah.
And now I got all Androids.
Man, I had a Samsung for a while, and I wouldn't switch, and then I switched to iPhone. My IQ went up by like 50 points at least.
That's what they told you.
I became I became a smarter person.
Yeah.
You know why? But I actually did, and it's not because of the phone. It's because they actually have something called iTunes University. And I remember I went into this thing, and I found this thing called the Stanford Entrepreneurial Conference, where they would just interview. They would just have like big titans of industry just speak for like an hour or two. And I just downloaded every episode, and I started listening to that. And I remember I naturally just started thinking about things differently.
It was all thanks to Apple.
Think differently. Apple. Little product placement there.
Who are you pointing at?
Man, but yeah. I love Apple, man.
So you asked me, what am I up to
Yeah,
in my life?
life. What are you
Life?
doing in life?
So I got my full-time job at the Burlington Family Health Team I told you about. I got my private practice on the side of that.
Yeah.
I live in Burlington now.
Mm-hmm.
I'm engaged. I'm getting married at the end of May.
Oh,
So
wow.
that's a big thing.
You're actually doing it.
Doing it.
That's great.
Going to Turks and Caicos to get married.
Wow, really?
Island marriage.
Jesus.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah. It's
You're-
going to be fun.
You're like, listen, you have to be this ballin' to come to my wedding.
It's
sir."
ridiculous. I would not have picked it as my first choice because it is like, of all the Caribbean islands, it's like the most expensive.
100%, yeah.
But my fiance was very set on a particular type of beach and water,
Done.
and it only looks that way there. So it's like, okay, we're going to do this once, so
True.
might as well. So yeah, the amount of people that can actually attend is quite low,
Yeah.
but that's understandable. I wouldn't expect.
Yeah,
So,
of
but
course.
looking forward to that. I have 2 cats. They are my sons. They're pretty chill. I watch Netflix. I go on the internets. I read books. I try to exercise a couple times a week.
True.
Yeah, I mean, that's, I do podcasts here and there.
Do you?
Well, here's one. And there was another one I did. So I've done like 2 or 3 in my life.
Have you?
Actually, I had just another friend I did one with last month. He does it's called Who's Your Therapist?
Okay.
And it's just like interviewing other psychotherapists because he's a
True.
therapist too. He is a young male therapist living in Oakville who also raps.
Oh, yeah?
And he's also Jewish.
Wow.
It's like, how can I find like someone so much in common, right?
That's incredible.
So that was a cool person to meet and become friends with. And he went on his podcast and talked about
Yeah,
therapy stuff. So
That's pretty cool.
yeah.
Man.
A lot of people are doing podcasts now.
Yeah.
I know another guy he's mentioned a podcasting to me.
Yeah, you should. Like, people should
do
just do it.
Go and talk, and
Like,
then
why
let
not?
people learn from what you talk about.
It's such a good education. Like, you learn so much. Like, I interviewed about 40 creatives, all about like creativity and stuff. Like, I learned so much about the creative process and like my own creative process, and now I'm like bringing that to like the mind, and like I know I'm gonna learn so much about my mind and like the mind in general, and it's just such a good way to learn. Great way to learn. It's been like amazing for me.
It's dope,
man. But are you gonna have kids?
Probably.
Yeah.
Planning probably to have 2 kids.
Because usually when people call their cats their sons, like that, they're just capped out at
no,
cats.
they're my current sons. I'm gonna get a dog.
Are
it's
you?
Gonna be another boy, I think. Then move on to the humans. If I can raise productive
human boys,
cat and dog members of society, maybe I can do humans.
That is the prerequisite. I think.
Work your way up. I'm thinking probably have a few kids.
Yeah, that's good, man. That's good.
And then mold them into my image.
Of course.
Yeah.
Goes without saying.
They will be like me. They will not be their own people. That's how you destroy children, by the way. You make it about you entirely and try to make them an extension of yourself.
Yeah.
Not acknowledging their own individuality. That's how you crush development. And one of the ways you can, there's so many ways to screw up human development, but that would be a very common one.
Yeah. Alan Watts talks about that. How like kids aren't considered people.
They should be.
Like they're like people in training kind of thing, and like they keep going through all these evolutions until they are of the age of like an adult.
Yeah.
And then they realize like, oh, like I was being instructed by people who didn't even know what was going on, and like now they have to find their way in adulthood and what it means to be a person. If
you really want to train little people, kids, to become adults, you should treat them a little bit more mature than they are, I think. So there's this idea that if it's, again, a Viktor Frankl quote, but he said, if you hold somebody to the same standard that they're at, they'll stay the same.
Of course.
If you hold them to a slightly higher standard, they'll grow into it. Or certainly if you hold someone to a lower standard, they'll kind of degenerate, right? Or they'll regress.
Yeah.
So a lot of parents, I think, what I see is they're treating their kids as stupider than they are and as less capable than they are, which actually retards their growth a little bit, or at least makes them feel bad about themselves or not like you. I'm not a parent, but this is just based on things I've seen,
100%.
Read about. I mean, I've done some counseling with parents, with kids, and just life experience. But like, I remember many times growing up where I was treated as my age or what they thought my age should be, but I knew they were doing that. So I was more intelligent than they thought I was.
Yeah.
So they were talking to me as if I was younger than my mind was. And I was like, why are you talking to me like I'm an idiot in my head? Of course, I didn't usually say that, but I think you got to give people generally, especially if you're raising kids, like give them the benefit of the doubt within reason, right?
Yeah.
You're not going to expect your toddler to drive the car, but when he asks you a question or something, don't assume you just have to give him a dumbed down, stupid answer. Give him the adult answer and then dumb it down progressively till he gets it.
Yeah.
Right.
True.
If he doesn't get it, okay, you'll dumb it down more, but don't start the other way and work up.
True.
That's my thought on it, is like, you should be, at a certain point, the kid will get old enough where they're not going to listen to you anymore, and they're not going to grow based on what you tell them. Yeah. But when they're younger, they will, and that's a very crucial time. So I personally view, like, again, not being a parent myself yet, and there's going to be a ton I need to learn, but I think child rearing, like growing kids, is the most important job on the face of the planet.
Definitely.
Because that dictates our race. As they become adults, right. They're going to run the world, right?
Exactly.
And it's treated like with such, so many people treat it so flippantly, like, and like with such little care, I think, or they're just not prepared for it, right?
100%, yeah.
I mean, mostly like people used to have kids in their teenage years and their 20s. Like I was, in my mind, I'm like, there's no way I'm having kids till I'm at least 30, because I will not be ready.
Yeah, that's what I thought too.
And now I'm 32, almost 33, and I'm like, okay, I feel more or less ready to get started. Like, you know, I'm at a point where I can be sure that I'm not going to horribly harm my kid out of ignorance.
Yes.
Doesn't mean I'll do the best job, and it doesn't mean they won't have all kinds of problems, but at least I know I won't like directly traumatize them, but through my own projecting my own crap onto them.
Exactly.
I will affect them. Every parent affects their kids, and I will affect them in ways that are harmful at times, because every parent does, I think,
Yeah.
because we're human and we have our faults.
Mm-hmm. It's true.
So that's my thoughts on.
Man,
So you asked me one question, and
You
I
sound-
go on a friggin' tirade.
you sound ready. It's
I
good.
feel more ready than I have. I remember there was a time when I was like really struggling and suffering. Like, I will never bring a child into this world because this world is pain and misery and shit. That was in my depression, right? And so I've come a long way from that.
Yeah. I've actually never had that thought. I've always wanted
Really?
to have kids. Yeah.
I actually believed that at one point. It was
Yeah.
like,
I've never been. Anytime people would say that, I'd be like, "You're fucking crazy, man. Come on, have some kids. See what happens."
see what happened. Throw them into the mix.
Somebody has a cancer cure inside of them. You gotta
Yeah.
let that cancer cure out. Someone had an Elon Musk inside of them. Yeah, let that out.
Yeah.
Let that into the world. See what happens. The ripples.
Ripple effects.
You never know, right? Like, yeah, I can't wait to actually do that myself. I want to have 6 kids.
That's too many, man.
No, man.
It's too many.
I want that.
Too many kids.
You know why?
Scale back.
So when I get out of bed, I'll be able to stand on my bed and then fall back and like crowd surf on my kids. You know what I mean?
You got to wait for them to get a bit to a certain age, probably, but at some point that could happen.
And I'm not going to be like you. My toddlers are going to be driving the car, and I'm going to be sitting in the passenger seat asleep. Yeah.
Well, the cars might be self-driving at some point.
There you go.
They can let them think they're driving the car. My toddlers are gonna work.
Yeah, man. Let them work. Let them do some stuff. But yeah, I definitely want to have a bunch. I don't know. I've always thought of like a big family. My girlfriend's like on that too. Definitely.
As long as she's on the same page.
Yeah.
And you can,
I'm definitely not gonna force her.
honey, that's only 5.
That's 6. See that board there?
See
That's
that?
6.
I don't see a checkbox on that part of the board. Man, 6.
Man.
Oh my God, I can't imagine that. Just even like the the financial responsibility, the amount of attention you can give. Like
That's right. Got to give that attention.
the amount of
Got to get real
bathrooms
involved.
you would need. Like
The amount of everything.
Yeah, I don't know.
Quadruples.
I know some people. Yeah, they're like, yeah, I want 5, 4 kids. I'm like, I debated between 2 and 3 because I'm from a family of 3. So I'm like, always, 3 is good. But I'm like, yeah, 2 would be enough. At least he's got a little friend to play with.
Yeah. Or push around.
Yeah.
My brother has 2, and he's pretty happy with that. He's pretty happy with 2.
Yeah. Well, wait till you have a couple and then see if you still want 6, maybe.
Yeah.
Unless you'll get.
That's what everybody says. But I know I want a bunch of kids. But like it's all about being able to provide for them.
Yeah.
So if you can't
You can't irresponsibly have more.
Yeah,
Just because
exactly.
you like the number.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I'm really setting the number. We'll be homeless, but hey, we'll have each other. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like not that. So it's like as long as you can provide for all of them and they don't want for anything or want for much, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want them to like have like Rolls Royces when they're like 14, but definitely want them to have everything that they need.
Yeah.
As children and young adults, you know. So we'll see.
A lot of people our age having babies.
Yeah, man.
Scary.
You noticing that?
Scary little buggers.
Yeah.
Crawling into the world.
A lot of kids, man. Everybody.
But they all seem to be doing an okay job.
Yeah.
Their kids are all still alive. Like, they, you know.
It's true. I mean, yeah. Oh, you know what? I'm going to reset these cameras. I'm going to ask you something.
Oh, shit.
I'm going to ask you something. I don't know if you heard about the man that ruined Black History Month.
Oh, from
His name's Jussie.
From
Jussie
Empire or whatever.
Schlemetz or whatever his name is.
Yeah. I didn't know what the hell. I didn't know who that was or what was going on, and then I saw it posted everywhere, so I read about it, and that was quite upsetting to read about.
Did you see what he did? Like he paid
He
people?
faked hate crimes against himself
Yeah.
and like racist hate crimes during Black History Month.
Yeah.
That is like the worst.
How do you diagnose that? What's going on there?
I don't know. He obviously thought he would get away with it.
Yeah.
And he thought it would somehow. How was it supposed to advantage him?
I don't know.
He was He was upset about his salary. I don't know what it was. I didn't read into it.
I heard that too.
But how is that supposed to play out in his favor?
I don't know.
He was supposed to be like, look, people are want to kill me for the job I'm doing. You have to pay me more. I don't know.
Yeah.
Some kind of delusional scheme he thought up that he thought would somehow benefit him. That's all I could think. I have no idea.
It's so weird.
That is some, yeah.
When I heard, I didn't even believe it when I first heard it. I'm like, oh, somebody's making that up. And then it was real.
Yeah. Well, it's like someone who like, anyone who like pretends to be a victim of something horrible.
Yeah.
Like you've heard those stories, like a woman faking cancer or that her kid is sick to get benefits. And it's like, that's like the worst kind of fraud.
Yeah, man.
Because you're taking attention away and like belittling the real like victims of that stuff that's actually going on.
Exactly.
Right. There's a lot of people getting, racist hate crimes against them that maybe we'd like to hear about instead of your BS story.
Yeah.
Right. Or something like that. Right. So
exactly.
it's the fact that it was during Black History Month?
Yeah. Well, yeah. It just happened, right? We're still in February, right?
Yeah. So I mean, that's even worse because, well, but that's also a little bit racist to be like, oh, this guy represents black people. Like
he doesn't,
he's a well-known black person, right?
Yeah. Yeah. That's true too.
So I feel like if you want to spin the narrative that way, like it's poorly timed. It's always poorly timed. It's especially poorly timed because of this.
There's no good time to do that. And
the fact that it does take attention away from like something like Black History Month is another added insult to injury, I would think.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It was crazy. Just wanted to get your take on that.
I know very little about it other than what I just said and what I read. I don't know how much is true and how much isn't, but it's
all true. He paid the men $3,500, and he hired black men to play white men. I think that was his first.
I would like to know what he hoped would come out of this. I'd like to know, what was your grand scheme? How was this going to be a positive for anyone, including you?
Yeah. Yeah, that's my thought too.
And why did you only pay them $3,500? How did they find out about this? Like they investigated and like the police asked them and
it was like on camera, like because there was like surveillance camera where he was. And the 1 minute that he was off camera, he said that the attack happened, and then I believe that they saw these Nigerian men. They saw them like leaving the scene or like around it or some way, like they knew that
after the alleged attack.
Yeah, and also they asked Jesse. They were like, "What happened?" And he's just like, "These guys came out of nowhere. They were screaming Trump Nation. They had MAGA hats on, and they beat me." And then later they found out. They just found these Nigerian guys, and they were like, "Hey, what happened here?" He's like, "Yeah, he paid us." They didn't even take a second to they folded right away.
That's why I said, why did he only pay them that much, right? Like
you
should have paid them a lot more.
Yeah,
and you should have found some people who were a little.
I think you should have found white people.
You should have found professional white scammers, like people who do this for a living, who defraud. Like you need a professional fraudster.
True.
Not some random guy from Nigeria who's just like, oh sure.
I just always thought white people, they play the best white people. They're really good at it.
You don't even have to try.
Comes natural to them, they just got it.
I don't know. That's
and then you see the guys, these guys are jacked, just jacked Nigerian guys. They're not even light skinned. They can never be confused with white people at all. Especially like,
well, if they're like the only people you see leaving the scene on camera, that's a little suspicious. Like at least they're witnesses, right? Like they must have saw
something.
Like yeah.
And somehow they just connected, and then those guys just admitted it, and now he's getting charged like felony charges, which he should. Like obviously, it's horrible. You don't want to just put Republican people, like Trump supporter people, in that light for no reason.
Well, that's the other thing is, you're fueling this like polarized narrative in the U.S. Like probably most of the people who wear Trump hats are not like KKK members,
right?
They may be a little ignorant or something, but it doesn't like, and some of them might just wear the hat and like not even know what it represents to people, right?
Yeah.
Other than like the lies they've been fed. So a lot of ignorance and whatever. They're not all a bunch of like racists.
Yeah, exactly.
Necessarily. So
nuts.
U.S. is a scary country, man. Like
that's how I feel too.
Like the way it's depicted, at least, and what you read about it seems very scary. Like here, everything's like our controversies are like very mild. And like even like the extent of our problems is there are real like severe problems here, but it's on a much smaller scale.
You know
not
why?
as extreme.
You know why? There's too many people.
Too many people.
There's just too many people. They need to just have less people. However they do that.
Well, how is having 6 kids going to contribute to that? How is that going to help?
Well, they need my kids there, definitely. So I do want to move to California, but then you hear stuff like that and you're like, ooh.
Well, California is at least a more progressive state.
Exactly. But you know what? Like,
but this guy was in California when this happened.
Was he?
I don't know.
I'm not sure where he was.
But if he is, you shouldn't move there. Because something like that will happen.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Jeez.
You should generalize from that.
I might get paid to like beat somebody up. Fake it. Not even actually do it.
That's a sweet job.
But it's like, yeah. It is a very... I, like when we went, because I got this tattoo done in Hawaii. I got this one done in Vegas. That one was in LA. And... before we left, I was a little on edge about like going to America because I had never been there before.
Oh yeah,
and like you just hear stuff, right? And
I feel different in the U.S.
You've been there?
Yeah, different places in the U.S. And just even the state or city you're in feels different.
Yeah, it did, and I don't know. Like I felt okay, but I was a little wary after like hearing so many things. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like. It's just so much more common there. And you're right. It's a much higher population.
Yeah.
It's a much older country than Canada. It's very different in a lot of ways.
So like I was a little wary, but like everything was okay. Like, I mean, Hawaii is like a completely different place. Like when you go to Hawaii, you don't feel like
that's not real America.
Yeah. You don't feel like you're in America at all. You feel like you're in like a very peaceful.
And if a hurricane hit them, they wouldn't be in America anymore. Trump would be like, that's your problem.
Yeah.
Puerto Rico. You're not really in American territory. Figure it out. But they did the same thing with friggin' New Orleans, right? Like Hurricane Katrina. It's like,
yeah,
Flint, right. Michigan. Sorry.
Yeah.
You're American, but that's a city problem.
Which is crazy.
Oh, Canada.
And they still need water, eh?
Yeah.
Like they're still in need of that.
You know it's bad when like Chance the Rapper is the person who's done the most about the water situation in Flint, Michigan. Like or someone, you know, like I don't know if it was him or someone else, some NBA person, but like you need celebrities to take over the failings of the government.
Yeah, it's very odd. Very odd that.
Or well, I mean, celebrities become your president too, and that's another.
Yeah, that's a whole.
It's a weird country, man. It's so strange. It's like watching reality TV. When you look at the American news, like that's how out of proportion and weird it is. But you're like, no, this is the news.
Yeah,
this is the whole reality of this country.
This is their current history.
This is it. And what will it look like when they read the history books? It'll be funny.
Yeah, that's true, man. It does look a little weird. I still want to.
Maybe Bernie Sanders will be president in 2020.
He's running, right?
He's running
like
again.
$6 million in like 24 hours. It said.
I would love to see him as president, just to see things go so much the other way.
That good old pendulum.
Oh,
let it just swing.
I would take the way he would take things over the way that Trump's taking things, though.
Yeah, when I first heard about him and like his views, I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. And I'm like, he'll probably win, or Hillary or somebody. I remember I was with my girlfriend.
They should have let him be the candidate against Trump. He would have had a better chance, I think.
Yeah.
Because he's an anti-establishment guy too, and Hillary represented establishment.
Yeah.
And so many Americans are like, "Fuck the establishment." Anyone who goes against it and like shouts it out and calls it like it is, so to speak.
Yeah, exactly.
And who cares if they're like a racist, idiot, and narcissist, sociopath as well, as long as they seem like they're on my side, right?
Right. I mean, and that is the actual view. I mean, like people were just looking for somebody who was like on their side, someone who got what they were going through.
Yeah.
To an extent.
But he doesn't at all. He doesn't care about them at all.
No.
Just like Doug Ford here now doesn't give a shit about.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. It's like for the people. It's like, no, for my people.
Yeah.
For my couple thousand people that I know.
Yeah.
They're all, or, inner circle. That's who I'm for.
My people.
For my people.
Yeah, Doug Ford is another one, a little different. He's like our Trump.
Yeah, he's a much more well-behaved, less unstable version of Trump, I think.
Yeah.
Like he's similar. I mean, and there's this rise of this like the populist thing around the whole world now, and it's a little bit scary.
Well, the populace in what sense?
Well, like a lot of countries are electing people like this.
Oh, yeah.
Like Brazil just elected some nut job,
Really?
apparently.
Yeah, and it makes sense. I mean, like you just said, like if Bernie got elected to see
it's
everything.
the pendulum, and that's the way it always goes.
And like it's a worldwide pendulum, I guess you can see happening, kind of thing.
It's dialectics.
Yeah.
Hegelian dialectics. Things always swing one way, and then they swing back the other way, and then that's how things change over time.
Yeah, exactly. Ugh.
He also said, I quote, I think it was him also, Hegel, said, if we've learned anything from history, it's that we learn nothing from history.
Yeah.
Things just...
True.
It's a pretty cynical view, but historically, it's been true. Then again, like the world today, like our global... I was going to say global climate, but not literally the climate, because that's a problem.
Yeah.
The global, like, political and, like, economic climate is better than it's ever been, in the sense that it's like there's the least major conflict and wars going on.
Yeah.
There's the least amount of people in abject poverty. Like, so on the whole, on average, things are better than they've ever been.
Of course.
But some people will use that as an argument to say, let's just keep doing things exactly the same way because it's working.
Mm-hmm.
But it's worked to an extent, but now we need to change things quite a bit because it's also causing a lot of problems, right? Things are going in certain extremes that are quite destructive, and benefit only a few people, right? So there's I'm certainly not like super into politics and stuff, so I would not debate about politics, but I think there always needs to be, like, you can't just have unbridled growth in one particular direction or one particular ideology driving you all the way forward forever, or it's going to lead to bad outcomes. You need to have it balanced with other perspectives and other outcomes and other outcome measures and things like that.
Definitely.
So
I'd agree with that.
That's why I say Bernie 2020.
Yeah.
See what he does.
I was talking with my buddy Isaac. He was over yesterday. We were talking about some stuff, and he's like very avid that Hillary's going to run again. He was like,
that would be a
happen.
mistake. She'll do worse this time than last time if she runs again.
You think so?
I'm sure of it.
Yeah, like he's like I'm sure of it. He's like she's probably been coached and like trained on like what people want to see, and like she'll probably like come back again.
But we already saw that. We saw the best of training and coaching on how to be, like, they trained her to be less robotic and more spontaneous, and it just made her look weird. Like it wasn't natural. It was.
Bro, when she was talking with Charlemagne the God and Angela Yee, like the Breakfast Club, and she was talking about how she carries hot sauce with her everywhere. Like, what's one thing you can't go without? She's like,
I didn't see that.
She's like, my hot sauce, I need it everywhere I go. I'm like, how dare you?
Who told you to say that?
How dare you? How dare you try to play on the African American hot sauce?
She said that specifically because she was on that show, you think?
Yes. 100%.
My hot sauce. They should have been like, open your purse. If it's not there, get the fuck out.
Would have opened it, a bunch of demons come out. Ghosts and demons.
Chipotle mayo. That's my hot sauce. My favorite. There's so many good memes on the internet.
Oh my god.
It's like this like white person meme, and it says, it's just some guy. He's like holding mayonnaise and says mayonnaise is spicy. I thought it was so good. So good.
Oh man. I love things like that. I love it. It's so funny.
And anyone who says like, oh, that's racist, like you just have no sense of humor. Get a sense of humor.
Yeah, I mean, it's
not racist. It's funny.
It's just poking fun.
I think to be racist, you have to view someone as inferior combined with the humor, right?
Yeah.
Like that needs to be in there.
And a bit of malevolence.
And malevolence, yeah. Like I'd also, if no one was watching, would kill you.
Yeah.
Or like at least, or spit on you or something, you know?
Like, you know?
But if you just poke fun at different cultures, like you're not being racist. You're just laughing at diversities and differences.
Yeah,
right?
and the differences that we have. Yeah, it's so true.
And that's why like comedians, like they do that all the time.
Yeah, they're getting a lot of shit for it recently.
But no, like they shouldn't. They should be the people in society allowed to say anything they want. And if it's really bad and unpopular, they'll go out of business. People won't pay to see them anymore.
Yeah. But if they're really masters of the craft and like they can like really make it funny, then like that should pass, I think.
Well, if a president can do it, why can't a comedian? Right? If you can call like millions and millions of people just by virtue of where they're from to be rapists and drug dealers.
Yeah.
And you can say that as the president, then I'm pretty sure as a comedian you can say whatever the fuck you want.
You should be, right?
Yeah.
But like, and it's so funny, like when you make that comparison, because a comedian would never say that. They'd be like, "Nah,
no, because comedians have to be smart. You can't be a good comedian and be a complete idiot. You won't be good at it unless you're like slapstick. Then you could maybe. But even then, that takes a certain amount of comedic timing and whatever. Like, and that takes intelligence.
True.
Like humor is one of like the higher forms of intelligence, I think.
Yeah, definitely.
To be really funny and for people to find you funny, not just you to find yourself funny.
That's so true.
So in that way, like some comedians are. There might be some comedians out there would make a better president for all we know.
Yeah. I say Joe Rogan. Get Joe Rogan in there. He learns from a lot of people. He's open to a lot of ideas. Make his vice president Dave Chappelle. We're good.
It'd be a better country than it is now, possibly.
Right?
Yeah.
Everybody in the country would be eating elk because Joe would go and hunt.
He's big on elk.
Yeah, he likes to hunt elk.
I tried elk burger once.
Really?
It's okay.
Was it? He loves it.
I prefer the cow.
Really?
Bison's good.
Bison's amazing.
Bison burger?
I was at my buddy's birthday party. I just had a bison burger.
It's very tasty.
It was so good. I was so happy I got it. I was so pumped. But yeah, that's like that little politic rant.
Yeah, I'm certainly not like, I don't have super strong political views. I'm definitely more left leaning than right leaning, but pretty overall middle ground. But like, I think when you start denying facts and science and things like that, you're delusional at that point, right?
Yeah.
And if you're not basing your policies on data, like actual factual data, you're basing it on stories you made up and beliefs that don't match objective reality. And at that point,
it's kind of like propaganda.
You're propagandizing. Yeah. So that's the thing. Like, certainly you can have philosophical and ideological stances and beliefs and things, but you can't, I don't know who said it. It was Obama or someone said, you're entitled to your own opinion. You're not entitled to your own facts. You're just not.
True.
That wouldn't hold up in a court of law. If the court of law was objectively, just, and it wasn't, it had its own flaws, but you have to get as close to the approximations of truth as you can when you're making policies. And what are you going to base that on is actual factual data. Yeah. That's not the way it works.
Yeah. It's very true. Yeah. I'm not big into politics either. When I talk with my friend, my buddy Hank, he has he knows a lot about politics, and like when he talks to me, I don't know if I would say he's left leaning or conservative. He's probably like more towards conservative. But anytime we talk and we're talking about stuff like this and like what I think is like right and wrong, he'll be like, "You're very left." He's like, "But you have a lot of conservative views as well." And I guess that puts me towards the middle.
Yeah, more of a centrist. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think you should generally have a view that things could be better and we should try to make them better. And that's what makes you more on the left side if you have that view. If you think everything is as good as it can be, let's do more of it and not change anything, you're a little bit more on the right.
Yeah.
So in the middle is there are things we're doing well and we shouldn't dismantle the whole system because we need a lot of this stuff to be the way it is or everything will fall apart.
Yeah.
And we can do better. So let's improve.
True.
Right? So I'm certainly not on the extent of like Marxist social revolution because I think that will just kill everybody and we'll be in worse shape. Like you can just look at any example of a political revolution that's happened and
I've only just been learning about that stuff.
I mean, it's usually very bloody and kills a lot of people and the outcome afterwards isn't always better.
True.
And you don't want to just be like, nope, everything is as good as it'll be. Let's keep doing it. In fact, let's revert to even more strict rigidity around what we're doing because there's millions of people who the current status quo doesn't work for. It works enough to maybe help them not, physically survive. And that's not even the case for everyone.
True.
But there's millions and millions of people who are disenfranchised and the system is not helping them. Yeah. It's not working out for them.
True.
So you got to reconcile those things. There's things that work. There's things that don't. You don't have to throw out everything that works to fix the things that don't. You may have to tweak them and add new things. Yeah. You may have to take away some of the nice things that work really well for some people. And this is the whole like tax the uber wealthy a little bit more. But those are also the people who have a lot of power and influence. So they don't want that.
Yeah, right?
So.
And then there's the people who aspire to be there. So they're like, I don't want that to happen to them because when I'm there,
Yeah.
mess up my
But only
thing.
so few people can be there.
Yeah.
Statistically, you can only have so many people at the top,
Yeah.
which means there's going to be a lot of people at the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
And most of the people will be somewhere in the middle.
True. Man, that's so true. I like that. I gotta figure out, like, I don't like politics, but I gotta become more educated on it. I see, like, as I start learning and hearing about things, so I'm starting to learn about
It's a
it.
very strange world that I would think I would not like to be in.
Yeah.
From everything I've learned about it and like what I have seen and learned, and no.
Yeah. So we won't see, like, running for, like, PM or anything like that?
No. I don't think so.
You thought about it.
about-
You thought it, though.
I'm like, okay, the only way I would ever consider being something in politics is if there was already an overwhelming demand for me specifically to be there and good reason for it.
True.
I wouldn't go out of my way to try to make that like sell myself as a politician. And that's
Yeah.
and the likelihood of what I just said happening is very close to 0%.
Yeah.
So I don't have to worry about it.
Can you imagine somebody's just, like, on TV and they're like,
Him.
we need Daniel Farb, please. Is he here? Sir, is he here? Your wife's like, oh my God, honey, wake up.
I'm not here for that, but yeah.
Man.
Yeah, I mean, because so many like well-intentioned people go into politics and then they have to work with this corrupt, fucked up system, and they have to change to accommodate it or risk getting booted out or whatever. And so
Yep.
you can have all the ideals and principles in the world, and then everyone around you is like, the world doesn't work that way.
Yep. And that would be a rough thing to find out, right? I guess that's rough in any industry.
But yeah, I mean, even within like working in mental health, I have certain, views and beliefs, and that's not the way the system exactly works. And
Yeah.
the only way I can see is like get into the system and be someone who can influence it in some kind of way
Yeah.
towards more positive outcomes for people.
Definitely.
That's the most you can do, is like work with what's in front of you and the opportunities you do have, right?
Mhm.
And if we get too farsighted of like how bad everything is and how far it is from where we want it to be, then we just can get paralyzed either with fear or like cynicism and be like, oh, there's no point. But then nothing changes, right? It'd be like if you're like going from being obese to like, I want to look like a supermodel. Well, don't start with the goal of becoming a supermodel. Start with the goal of getting outside and walking every day. Start with where you are, right?
Mhm.
Because and I think a lot of the like self-help and positive thinking stuff really sells people on like, here's a quick fix to get you straight to the end.
Yeah.
Doesn't work. Doesn't work
Yeah.
that way. Anyone who's
There's a lot
promising
of
that
it.
is selling you snake oil. Like,
Yeah.
there are things that can give you boosts along the way, and like some things will be more beneficial than others, but none of them are going to take you straight from where you are to where exactly your ideal end state is. Right?
Yeah. Definitely.
And that's the same in systemic change too, right?
True. Yeah, that is true.
You have to hold both, like you have to be grounded in where you are and sensitive to the climate you're in, and then but also you hold on to your aspirations and look for little inroads and opportunities to make change, right?
True.
That's on a personal level or a systemic level. Like, it's kind of the same kind of thing. And I think people get too stuck on either one end of the spectrum, being like, well, everything's the way it is and it's never going to change, or like, if it's not exactly the way I think it should be, it's wrong and bad, and therefore I'm going to fight against it and rail against it, and then no one's going to listen to you anyway. So you got to be somewhere in the middle.
True. Man, it's amazing.
I'm just spouting out my thoughts, man. I guess that's what you do on these shows.
That's what I like.
You freestyle.
Not all podcasts are like that, but I want mine to be like that. I like when people just like
This is your podcast.
Yeah.
It is like that.
Yeah.
Right now.
Yeah. That's what I mean. Not all of them are.
No.
Oh, like
A lot of it's going to depend on the dynamic you have and the person you bring on, and
yeah. But I like when people just like get into like what they're starting to think. I noticed like I wanted to like have a podcast that was very polished question wise and stuff, but I was like, you know what? I'd rather the person just kind of talk.
Did you even prepare at all for today,
Colin? I didn't want to overthink it. Like,
yeah.
I never want to overthink these things. So I'm like,
yeah,
I'm
it's
just
good to
gonna
have
sit
some
in front of this person and just like talk and learn from them.
Yeah.
And just like go through stuff, you know? Slowly, I'm trying to craft out, and like it's called Colin's process and everything, and it's like I'm still trying to figure out like my process towards like how do I want these interviews to actually go, these podcasts, these sit downs. And I like just talking. I really do. I feel like I learn more, and I don't know. It's sitting well with me. But I'm also like, I've also done the whole thing. Like when I interviewed those 40 creatives, I laid out 21 questions for them, and I would only stay towards those questions. But I found those conversations to be a lot more stiff. And then whenever they would get off into like a thought or like whatever, like you want to talk about politics or this or that, I would have to like bring them back in and like kind of cut that off. And I didn't really like that as much, having to cut people off and bring them back in. And
probably good to have like some general directions you want to go, or some specific questions for in case it gets like too far off track or it gets dull. But you also don't want to shut people down. Yeah, exactly. Because you're so strictly sticking to that, right?
Yeah. So it's hard. And then it's like, well, that's those questions. And
part of the art of interviewing, right?
Yeah.
Even doing like clinical interviews with people is similar.
Really?
You have certain points you need to cover or want to cover, but sometimes you don't need to dwell as much in some areas as the ones that they're bringing in, right?
True.
So.
Never thought of that. I didn't realize you guys did interviewing.
Well, we call them assessments.
Oh, okay.
But that's what we're doing. We're interviewing somebody to ask them about themselves and their life and their problems and see how we can help.
True.
And in this case, you're interviewing to just learn generally, I think, is the idea here, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And so then your listeners can learn stuff.
Yeah.
Are you learning?
I'm learning. Focus there.
How long? It's been...
we've been at 2 hours and 38 minutes. I think we can wrap it up.
Yeah, I don't know if anyone would listen longer than this, so we should probably...
I go like 2.5 to 3 hours usually. Sometimes it's 2 hours. It all depends. I like to make it long. I've come to that conclusion that like I like long form talks, and whoever doesn't, like they can just like listen to 20 minutes of it and then turn it off.
You can put like a highlight.
No highlight, nothing. No. You just gotta go in. You
gotta find it yourself.
You gotta come into the process. The reason I call it Colin's process or the process is because, like my tattoo here, that's a mushroom. It says the process in it. When you go on a psychedelic journey, it's very much a process, and you don't get to choose where it goes.
And if you try to, you have a bad trip.
Exactly.
Try to control it too much.
You know exactly what I'm talking about.
Trust the process.
So you got to just go through the whole process and see what you learn at the end of it, just like any psychedelic experience. And that's why it's called that. And that's what I do.
So this show is mirroring the psychedelic journey.
Yeah, definitely.
I don't even know what dimension we're in now.
Right? Sometimes you really learn something and you're like, oh man, my life just changed. Sometimes you're just like, I'm sweaty.
Don't want to go there again.
Nope. Right?
Yeah.
So where can people find you online and all like the stuff that you're doing right now?
Yeah, so for my psychotherapy stuff, it's danielfarb.com.
Yeah.
And then for my hip hop stuff, it's mcfubb.com. MCFUBB.
Okay, perfect.
And those are my two main things, and anything else you find about me online, I probably don't want to advertise. So
true.
There's probably nothing else there.
True.
So yeah, those are the two main: the music, and then the psychotherapy stuff.
And when can we expect like an EP coming out? Like this is like later on in the year.
Yeah, I'm thinking
late 2019.
Probably late summer.
Okay.
That's what I'm hoping.
Amazing.
Yeah,
that'd be great.
Because I gotta see if I get this grant, and then I gotta get married somewhere in there. So that could be busy and.
True.
So
I gotta get married.
Then I gotta polish off this project and get it out there. So I'm hoping, maybe by late summer.
Okay, amazing. Fall. Let me know when you're doing it, and I'll have you on again. We can talk about it.
Cool.
Play some tracks and stuff.
All right,
guys. That was the process. MC Foob, aka Daniel Farb. Peace. Well, there you have it, Daniel Farb. Man, it is crazy to see someone come such a long way. Like, absolutely nuts. From when I met him to this day of speaking to him, just a crazy amount of growth. And not growth in the term, like most people, when we see like growth, it's like, oh, he has a job now, he's straightened out, he has a girlfriend, this, that. Like, his growth is all in his mind and the way he looks at things and his perspective, and completely, I couldn't even describe to you the person that he used to be. Absolutely amazing. I hope you enjoyed that as much as I did. As always, like, subscribe, share, rate, review, scream it from a rooftop of how much you love this podcast. And again, no sponsors. This is brought to you by My Curiosity. Peace.